Good morning and welcome to Brandenburg News Network. I am Donna Brandenburg, and it is the first day of October 2024. And I got to tell you, I'm having a little problem with my feeds right now. It looks like X is down for whatever reason. X is not accepting the live stream this morning, so I'm hoping that there's a couple of them that aren't working too well right now. So let me see what's going on here. But anyhow, welcome to our show today. So lots of things happening out there, guys. It's like I'm kind of watching the strike that's going on and the disaster. I had the from Helene, the Hurricane Helene. I had a show on yesterday where we talked about it because I have a friend that's down there in Cherokee and knows the area very, very well. So we talked about what's going on down there. And quite honestly, she talked to some marshals down there, and the death toll is not what they're telling anyone out there. She said it's in the thousands. She said she's heard on the ground there that there's at least 11,000 people missing and gone. And I mean, like, permanently gone. So it's going to be interesting to see what the reaction is on how to deal with this and such. But she asked the marshals if they had a plan, and they said, we have no plan. She said, we don't know what we're going to do, and we just showed up. So we'll see how they react to it. It seems pretty conspicuous that there's not been much reaction from anybody of note in our government, and the reaction's been fairly pathetic, except for President Trump and Elon, which has been amazing. They're trying to get Starlink up and such, which is wonderful. So at any rate, we need to talk about this, and I'm going to bring John on, my buddy. Hey, John, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good. That's awesome. Well, I've been kind of ornery for the last 2 days, and I'm trying not to be ornery, but I kind of am. So I'm just right out there and telling everybody this, just because of the I'm shocked at the lack of there are people that care, but I'm also seeing a lot of people that have an apathy for this nation and for what's going on around them with the people around them in their lives. It is shocking to me. And we started talking about it this morning, and I tell you what, it's a sad state of affairs that this nation is in right now. When Cindy talked about it, she said nobody here has a plan. She said that everybody's just kind of walking around not knowing what to do, and I hate to say it, but they finally got some ways to get water in there and to get in there to the people, but I'm not seeing a lot of leadership coming from our governmental agencies. I'm kind of hoping that the military steps in a sizable way. The marshals are on the ground there, but you've got to be able to mobilize a lot of people and have them organized so they're like, you do this, you do this, you do this, and then move forward. And I've got kind of a creative way that I would approach this, quite honestly, but I think it's a little unconventional, but it probably would work in a very stellar way. So, but we can talk about strategizing for helping the people in North Carolina. But let's talk about what we were talking about earlier.
The things that I have most difficulty with is all of the people that are out there, and I know there are some people that are really concerned and really are doing stuff, but that's a minority of the people. It's not a majority. And I don't know what the majority thinks. They think somebody else is going to do it for them.
Yep.
And then they pointed out that I don't have to do anything. I can just sit down or I can complain. And a lot of people do that. They complain about this, they complain about that, but they have no desire to put their money where their mouth is. They don't want to stand up and say, look, I can't do the document or I can't fight in court, but I'm willing to put up $25, $35, $100 to let somebody that wants to do the battle for me.
And I don't see that happening because people, it's like I tell people, you know what? Don't give it to a party, don't give it to organization. But if there's something that you see out there that can be fought that you want to get into, then jump into those areas, okay? And you got to do something. You can't just sit home and go, whatever shall we do? I had a conversation yesterday, And it really pissed me off. I got to tell you, because it's one of those things where this is such a systemic corrupt failure of the United States of America and the mindset that is here. And it's like, oh, we're just going to show up and everything will be provided. I'm like, I'm sorry. When is it okay for us to be dead weight on anyone around us? When you show up for work, okay? When you show up for work, you should be ready. And I'm just going to say it. My dad taught me you show up for work at least 15 minutes early. Have your coffee, and when that buzzer rings, you should be ready to perform. If you're not, if you have to sit there like a narcissistic little baby waiting for somebody to wipe your behind for you instead of an adult that has to be dragged off by somebody who's, what is that any different than somebody else who is unlawfully scamming the system and under welfare or cheating in another way? And it's like when you show up for something, it's just like this. If you're going to go into a disaster area, you're a village idiot. If you don't have the plan to be in there and realize you're going to be in survival mode, you better think about things to bring, that you could be in lots of different weather and not just go, oh, everything will just show up, will be provided for. And it's like, I personally don't want to be a carcass for somebody to drag around to set me up in a chair somewhere while I'm going to be drinking my iced tea. I find it repulsive. It's like, if I show up somewhere, I want to be hauling ass and taking names and getting something done, or I will be somewhere else shoveling horse manure, getting something done. But sitting there on my dead ass isn't going to happen. And waiting for people to serve me. And I think that that's something that's just really got me torqued right now, because this is what I'm seeing in the majority of the United States of America, is that privileged, spoiled attitude that, somebody needs to serve me here. Please bring me my whatever it may be. And instead of doing your own thing, I don't know, it just kind of disgusts me, quite honestly. It's like, when did we turn into a nation of babies that have to have somebody serving us every time we turn around and expecting to perform for us like little monkeys on strings, or little puppets? Jump, monkey, jump, do, jump for me. I mean, it's crazy.
This takes me back to when I was teaching high school and teaching home construction. And everybody, all the kids in my class had a carpenter belt, a hammer, a ruler, the very basics that you needed to do carpenter work. I'd have kids show up on the site without their equipment. I'm saying, what are you doing here? You might as well have sent the equipment here and stayed home, because without the equipment, you're useless. So I'd send them home. And that was the attitude that some of the kids had. Not all of them, because I had a good hardcore group of kids that would get out there and actually do the work. They'd show up when they were on time. They would take part of their Easter break or Christmas break to work on the house. They were, dedicated to get the job done. But there were those handful of kids that, I forgot my belt today. Like, what are you going to do here when you're here without your equipment? Well, I don't know what I'm going to do. So this is the problem that, same within the classroom. Go to a classroom. You didn't bring a pencil and a paper with you? What's the matter with you? How are you going to take notes? How are you going to do anything? All you did is showed up. That doesn't help anybody. What do you got? Photographic memory? The kind of same nonsense, but it perpetuated itself to the grown-ups, to the people that are now of age and that could make a difference. They're the same way. They haven't changed. They haven't learned anything out of high school, and they're still behaving the same way. Folks, you got to realize freedom is not free. And we are in the midst of fighting for our freedom. This is not something that we can put off to somebody else. Let somebody else go out and fight the battle for us. No, we are the front line. Trump is not our savior. Trump has just opened the door to help us fight this.
I agree with that. And you want to know something more? I'm going to admonish all the Christians out there who have this worship of President Trump. He's going to save us, my new savior, and the idolatry of him. I love President Trump, okay? I'm going to say that right now. I love the man. I think he's the greatest president.
I stand with Trump.
Yeah, I stand with President Trump. But that's the point. Is standing with him doesn't mean you sit there and go fix all my problems. Because I'm a baby bird in a nest with my mouth open, waiting for somebody to drop provisions on my head. You know, I mean, to be faithful to him means you're going to get off your butt. You're going to do something. And then you're going to realize this man is going to die someday. If he doesn't die by assassination, which is going to be a miracle from God, he's going to die just by old age. We all are. Okay. What's the next step, everyone? Because I'm not seeing a plan here. And the plan is better be you and I that are willing to step up. And can you even imagine right now? I look at President Trump and I cannot even imagine. I don't even know probably that I'm going to say 3 people that would have the guts to step into his place in the swamp and have a plan, number one, or have the guts to stand up to the arrows that have been attacking him without absolutely curling up in the fetal position. How they couldn't even leave the masks and curl up in the fetal position in the corner of the room without falling apart and having to, you know, have their latte and you know, their lattes, their hot tubs in their golf games. Are you kidding me? And it's like, you know, he golfs. I get it. Okay. But the point being is that I just can't, I don't even know enough people that would actually step up to that task. First of all, what are they going to do? There's not enough people with enough actual life experience. And that's the truth. And, you know, that because, and I'm going to clarify that there are, but it's not in the political class of people. The people that are in politics don't have a great skill set in general. If you talk to them for 5 minutes, what's that?
They're mostly stupid.
They're kind of stupid. Okay. And, you know, we need some business owners. We need people who are engineers. We need some actual doctors in place. We need some people, quite honestly, I think we need some people that work for the unions in place, because one of our companies is a union company, and we work with we work with the laborers, the operators, the Teamsters, as well as the welders. Okay. We hire union workers for that company. And I'm going to tell you what, some of the most skilled operators on the planet are from the unions. There's no 2 ways about it. And some of the best welders on the planet are from their union welders. There's no 2 ways about it. And you've got a consistent quality. If you work on a pipeline jobs like I do, and you see the level of expertise and professionalism by the gentlemen and ladies that show up, it really is pretty. It's really pretty inspiring. The level of pride in their jobs, in their trades, and such. And now that's what I see with the workers. Now the unions themselves, we got a little bit of a problem with that, because the unions have not been good to their workers. A lot of them have really oh, I got a hair issue here. A lot of the unions right now, the union management has betrayed its own workers. Most of them have. And you know, it's really too bad. But I tell you what, I've sent a couple of people into a place of having to rethink about things a little bit. And you know, it's like I don't think that, quite honestly, you know, you've got the military too. The military is another great option. And my friend there, when she said that, well, the marshals showed up, and why are they there? They're there to protect the rescue workers. That's what they said. It's like, okay, what are they protecting the rescue workers from? The marshals. there's a question that should be asked. Are they expecting violence over this, or, violence or harm to the rescue workers? I think it's a good idea. Okay. But now there's other questions that should be answered. And quite honestly, since nobody has come up forward and publicly stepped out and talked about what the plan is, I got some questions here,
The problem that we have, I believe, is that we were brought up all these years without having to be concerned about much of anything. Go out and have a party. And that's really why we have a republic form of government, because we don't want to be dealing with the day-to-day nonsense of government. We hire people to do that. We hire public functionaries to do that. And so when we put a public functionary in office, that is their particular job and their job description, and that's what they're supposed to do. We have put these, I don't even know what to call them, public functionaries in office, and we turn our back and we don't pay attention to what they're doing.
Exactly.
That was Gretchen Whitmer. We allowed her to do whatever she wanted to do. We allowed her to lock down America or lock down Michigan, and we didn't stand and say, no, you can't do that. You just can't lock down Michigan, and you can't force us to wear masks. And people ran around putting masks on and staying locked down in their home, partially because of fear. The other part is because they're ignorant. They didn't understand what the idea of a virus is. Does a virus even exist? Which my contention is that the virus that they're talking about doesn't exist. But that's my point of view. And people need to do their own research. They need to. I mean, it's easy now. You go on the computer and you type in things and you get information. It's not like when I was growing up, you had to go to the library. You had to read all kinds of documents. People were passing paper out from meetings that you'd go to. You'd have to become involved in that stuff in order to have any clues to what was going on. Now you just go on the computer, you type it up, and then you get an answer. And there are a lot of doctors out there that know what is going on with the virus nonsense. There's a lot of doctors, there's a lot of people, professionals, or let's not even call them professionals. I hate that term because they're not professional. They're college grad weasels, most of them. Doctors, if you follow your doctor's advice and that's all you do and you don't take care of your own health, then what can I tell you? You deserve to be sick. This is nonsense. And same with attorneys. If you buy into what an attorney is doing, he's going to rip you off because that's his job. And you don't get it. You don't get it that you need to be involved in what's happening and not allowing the attorney to do it, or these so-called professionals that got themselves a college degree. Because in college, they don't learn the stuff that they're supposed to learn about the Constitution. And I'm speaking of the legal side. They don't learn about the Constitution. They don't know what the Republic is all about. They know what the civil action jurisdiction is about. You get involved in that, and then you lose because that's their game. They want to steal as much money from you as they can. That's the attorneys and that's the judges. That's their job. And you buy into it because you think you hired a professional. The same thing with doctors. If you go to a doctor and he says, oh, I'm going to prescribe this pill, and you don't know what that pill's doing to your body, whose fault is that? Is that the doctor? What are you going to do with the doctor? Sue him later because he gave you the wrong pill? He's guessing basically on the stuff that he's learned in college. And most doctors don't progress further than what they've learned in college. This is what I know. This is all I know. And I'm a doctor. I got my 7 years of college behind me. I'm the one that knows everything and you know nothing. If you buy into that nonsense, you deserve to be sick. Sorry, that's the way it is. You got to get off your buns and do something. Freedom is not free.
Right. And think we need to go back to one of the Bible verses that says, lean not on your own understanding, and in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. The other thing that I've seen is this incredible unteachable spirit that seems to be going around in the world, because it's like everybody knows everything. Ask them, they'll tell you whether they know it or not, just because they heard it somewhere. They haven't done any research, but they're completely convinced that somebody, I'll listen to whatever, and whether I agree or not, because I think it's important to listen, and not listen for telling them, but listen for information. I'm constantly listening for information, and I won't disagree with somebody, even if I think that they're kind of like a low IQ person. I'll listen to them anyway. And most of the time, it's like I don't necessarily, and I'm not saying it to be demeaning as much as somebody who isn't thoughtful, or isn't how do I say it, isn't thoughtful, but is so tied to an idea that they're blinded by the things around them. That I see that happening a lot. And we really have to leave that leave that mindset behind, and be willing to listen to everyone, because every single person out there has something that they know and see that we don't, because we're not looking at it from their perspective. And so we can, all of us, teach each other if we're open to listening and learning, no matter who it is. And it doesn't matter who comes up with the best idea. It's the best idea has to win. And then that idea goes forward to benefit the group. And then you go work on another idea. You don't just hang it around your neck as a gold chain of honor. You leave it alone. That needs to be laid at Jesus's feet. You find another project and you work on it. But I digress. I'm going to read a few things from the comments here. Maureen, sounds like you have a cold. I do. I've been sick for about a week here, and that's why I took some time off. I've got it in my nose and my chest a little bit, but we're still here today. I'm not feeling as bad as I was, but I tell you, if you've got it, I can tell you, I know you feel really bad out there if you're sick, because I know how bad I felt there for a few days. And one of the things that I think is really important to know is that you can really help kill a lot of viruses by gargling with thymol, which is in Listerine. So that's a real quick fix to, if you gargle. I always wondered that my dad never got sick when we were kids. Never got sick. Guy was unbelievable. He's like a machine, right? And he literally never got sick. And he gargled with Listerine like every day, twice a day. The guy never got sick, right? So I don't think he knew why, but here the rest of us would be sick, and there's Dad. He's just chunking out there like a machine. And so there's something to that at any rate. And I was told that by a doctor. Thymol will kill most viruses in your throat. You want to keep it away. Gargle about 4 times a day, and you probably are going to be able to avoid it, or at least help it. Hey, John, is there a law that the FCC violated with their sale of the 200 radio stations to Soros? Is that a monopoly? Yeah, that's a real big problem, because it's one more way to close down our airwaves is to not just do TV and media. It's to literally control those bandwidths on the radio frequencies, and that's exactly what they did. And I'm real concerned. They're trying to buy also the lower bandwidths, which they're trying to put that into a private ownership, which is a really bad idea, because the ones that they're going after are say like could interfere with your Wi-Fi, baby monitors, and that sort of thing. That should be public. They cannot be allowed to take that over from the general population, because you know what they're going to do? They're going to lock us right down. They're trying to kill our speech.
This is a issue that we have been told about for some time, that they are attempting to shut down communications, at least whatever they think is whatever doesn't follow in their philosophy, they're trying to shut down. This is part of the color revolution. If you don't know what the color revolution is, you need to pay attention to that. What they do is they eventually take over the media, so they are in total control, and the blind people that are out there, and there's a lot of them, a majority of them, that will follow only what they hear on the major networks, and if they don't have any other options out there, that's what they follow and they believe in. So yes, this is a process of the color revolution that if you study any of the color revolutions from the past, this is exactly the same steps they're taking in America.
And the economic warfare too. I mean, the economic warfare, that's been repeated every time the Marxists show up, is they go for capture of industry capture as well as the capture of the land. That's a really big deal.
Yes, this is a problem that the deep state is doing to the public, but the problem still exists that we are still following the deep state rather than standing against the deep state. And here again, I argue, if you can't do something, if you can't get into court, if you don't know how to do that, or you can't fight in a particular fight that they're going on, that a group is going on doing, fund them, put some money out there, do your part, whatever your part can be. Everybody needs to do something. You can't just sit back and say, well, we'll just let it happen and let somebody else take care of it for us. You've got to get off your butt and you've got to do something. You're hanging on to that fake money like it's worth something. Spend some of that fake money to protect our country and to protect your freedoms. That's what it's all about. What's your freedom worth? What's your freedom worth?
Mm-hmm.
You're the only one that can decide that. If you don't, and the deep state has their process and they follow along and they do what they're going to do, we're going to all be slaves to the system.
Well, I got to tell you what something that I would love to see is, it's like, I'm willing to stand up and fight, but you know what? I have limited time and limited resources that I'm trying to use the best way I can. And quite honestly, it's like, I would love to see a bunch of people that wanted to step up and help with this, because I'm willing to fight it. But you know what? It's like one little old me who is not a billionaire and goes to work every day. And in the nanny state of Michigan, where everybody thinks that people should fight their own damn battles or fight the battles for them, instead of going, how can I help? Yes. How can I help? You know what? And it's like I don't need any money, but you know what? We were talking about
everybody. That's incorrect. Everybody needs money. I mean, I'm putting out for calling cards for the new website. I'm going to eventually kick in some money for the website that we have just funded. I'm funding the Zoom program. I'm sure you're funding your BNN.
I'm funding all of this. I've absorbed all of this cost to try to get things out there. And so my point is that if I actually had some more people that were willing to step forward or work, or maybe help pay for some legal help instead of me hacking my way through and trying to figure this thing out. I can't sit here and constantly just be like, a Pez dispenser throwing money in everybody's direction, because you know what? That's exactly what people have been brainwashed to think. They see somebody and they're like, I'm going to jump on their coattails and I'm going to get as much money from them as I possibly can. It's like, you know what? This is why our nation is going down. It's because of that mindset. Instead of stepping forward and going, I'll help. And then, and without any respect or thinking about getting something back, when it comes to the country, that's our duty to step forward and to work on it. It's not it's not, oh, when I feel like it, when I get a few minutes here or there, because I got to get my nails done. Not that it's a bad thing to do, but you have to make time for that. It's like a time management thing. You have to make time for those things that are important. And the things that are important right now, learning what it's going to take the country back. We don't even know how to do that as a nation, right? And or what is it going to take to get that first furrow in going down the field here. You're going to have something that can break through, that can get through that first line of defense, or we're dead. And and going to all these coffee club crap stuff is not cutting it.
Yes, let's take a look at, we are presently having on the ballot a foreigner running for governor or running for president. A foreigner, somebody that is not allowed by the law to run for president. And I'm talking about Kamala. She is a foreigner. She is not an American natural born citizen. And there are people out there that don't get it. That don't get, oh, she was born in America. That makes her an American citizen. It makes her naturalized at best, but not a natural born citizen. And according to the Constitution, the reason that they have something called a natural born citizen is because they don't want a foreigner coming into this country and running this country, such as Obama. He was a foreigner. He was not an American natural born citizen.
Yeah, he didn't make the cut.
And so we ended up with what we ended up with was a guy that was trying to destroy this country. And now we have Kamala, who is doing exactly the same thing. She doesn't know which way to turn, what to do, how to do it, but she's following orders from Obama. So what does it mean to be a natural born citizen? It means that your father and your mother had to be an American citizen before you were born.
Well, that toasts all the anchor babies, doesn't it?
Well, there is no such thing as an anchor baby. That's the nonsense that they put out there. There is no such thing as an anchor baby or the dreamer. This is the nonsense that the Democratic, and I hate to point it to a party, but that's what they are. The socialists have tried to bring forth to dilute the American populace so they could always take over and become powerful. And then we have a one gun. Remember, we used to point at the Russians. They only have one party. It's the Communist Party. If you don't vote for them, then you don't vote for anybody. That's all there is. Well, that's what we have. We have a Communist Party. That's a uniparty system. We don't realize that we have rhinos, which are Republican in name only, and we have the lefty Democrats, and they are running the system, and they are trying to put a foreigner in power to be the final nail in the coffin of America. Wake up.
It's like watching a bunch of 6-year-olds on a stage. That it's making spectacles of themselves and just being crazy rather than actually getting work done. I can't understand this.
Why do we have? Why did the founding fathers come up with the idea? And you can read it in the Constitution that they have to be natural born. Why did they do that? They did that because they realized that somebody could come. Father from one country and a mother from the other, or father and mother from either country could come to America and have a child, and therefore they think that that child could run and become the president of the United States. That's so far out of kilter. That's like you going to a foreign country and trying to become their prime minister or their president. That's what we're getting right now with Kamala Harris. And people need to realize that. First of all, the Republicans should have been jumping up and down, screaming and hollering that she could not be vice president long before when she was given that office back when Biden was running. And Biden shouldn't have been allowed to run for president because he doesn't know the difference. He doesn't know what a natural born citizen is or what a naturalized citizen is. And therefore, because he put her on board, and I don't think he did, I think Obama did. I think Obama's the culprit of this whole thing. And we need to wake up to that fact that Obama's trying to destroy America. And he's using Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton and all of those front runners to be the people sticking their neck out in the front to try to get this country turned over so they could stay in power the rest of their lives. And you could become a slave. You need to wake up, folks. This is what's going on. This is right in your face. We have fake money. We have a fake system. We have a fake judicial system. We have a fake Department of Justice. We have a fake director of the Department of Justice. We have a fake president. We have a fake vice president. And they're trying to destroy America. And
we have a fake economy.
Yes.
The economy is completely fake. And I think we've got some real hard lessons that are going to have to be learned here as with the strikes, the ports, the port workers strike, the long lineman strike. And I think this is going to be shocking to people and I think it's going to be shocking to those people that are striking right now, because you know what? Do they think they're going to get away without feeling the hurt out to their families and friends as they crash the United States economy? Do they think they're going to be immune to this? If they are, I got a lot of news for you. It's like the whole, if the system goes down, there's nobody, I don't care who it is, who isn't going to be feeling a great deal of pain from this. Doesn't matter. And I know that my gal on the ground there said that they started having a problem shooting people for gas at gas stations. And she said there's a lot of problems that are happening down there. When people get trapped, they do stupid things. Look at the toilet paper nonsense that went out.
I was going to say that.
I'm like, this whole thing, we've been talking about prepping and being a little bit ready for a crisis. I think we're sitting right on the edge, people. If they're not taking cargo on the rail systems right now. Oh, I had clarification. Sheriff Mack got a hold of me this morning, and he was like, I'm so sorry. He goes, I got my days mixed up. And he said, I'm on a plane right now and they're getting ready to shut the door. And I'm like, oh, geez, sorry. And so I'm like, well, we'll figure something out here without you. So he said, I want to know if you could make it up to everyone. And I'm like, not a problem. We will, that sort of thing happens. And good guy at any rate. But I've got probably Karen and Ralph coming on at 10 o'clock or after. You can stay on as long as you want to, John, because that's all. I love my friends who help when something goes awry a little bit. But I
wanted to bring on a couple of things. I want to talk about Wednesday of this week. We're going to be talking about Minor versus Happersett, which is a Supreme Court case which explains what a natural-born citizen is and what a naturalized citizen is. And if you want to get involved and find out the truth about what a natural-born citizen is, so you don't walk around saying that, oh, Kamala Harris is a natural-born citizen, come to our Wednesday night Zoom and listen, because we're going to be talking about the Supreme Court case. Remember that the Constitution talks about a natural-born citizen, but does not spell out what a natural-born citizen is. So you have to know that. How are you going to figure that out? Who defines terms? The Supreme Court defines terms. It's not defined by the legislature. Just like when we talk about income tax, income is not defined by the legislature. It's defined by the courts. The courts have already decided what income is. It's a profit or a gain. And if you don't have a profit or a gain, there is no income tax. That's a clear-cut definition, but you got to know the Supreme Court cases that call that out, so you can cite those. Same thing with Minor versus Happersett. You have to know what the Supreme Court says a natural-born citizen is. There are a lot of people out there that think Harris is a natural-born citizen, that she fits that requirement. She does not. She does not. And again, I say the Supreme Court has ruled that it is the citizenship of the father that and the mother that identify what the child is, if that child is a natural-born citizen. The reason that our founding fathers brought this out originally was that they did not want somebody to come into this country that was not an American. And how you do that is you bring somebody in that from two foreign parents, and they have a child that's born on this soil, but they're not natural born. They are naturalized at best. They are naturalized, and so
and disqualified for the office of being president. And they can't be president.
That's right, and it cannot be fixed. There's no way to fix that. You either are or you aren't. There's no in between. And they just didn't want to have a foreign born person take over the country, such as Obama, such as what we are witnessing in our own lifetime is a naturalized citizen running for president. It's totally against our country, against our laws. Now, the question is, do we have a nation of law or do we have a nation of men where they can
law? We have a nation of law. We have to follow the laws, the process. Because once you start making allowances and saying, no, we really don't mean that, or we really don't mean that, we'll give you an exemption for this rule because you're special.
That's right.
And the problem with that is all of a sudden everybody steps up to the plate and says, well, I'm special, like a bunch of lemmings, and decides that, okay, we got to all be equal in that regard at that moment. Well, you know what? All you've done is just broken the law and followed people into breaking the law and doing something wrong. You got to stand for what's right, regardless if anybody else does. And if they get unjust gain, if they do the wrong thing, there's going to be a day that they're going to have to pay for those crimes. There's no two ways about it. Nobody gets away with this stuff forever. But if you keep your record clean and you do the things that you're supposed to do, you're going to make mistakes. I get it. But do your best to do the right thing and stand on principle. And if there isn't any good examples, then be one. You know, if somebody's getting unjust gain like that, refuse it.
And then the other thing I wanted to point out was you started filing a case and you ended up there trying to take your case to the court of claims. And I wanted to talk about a de facto court. What is that? A de facto court is a court that is not in the Constitution. Anything that is not in the Constitution is de facto. Where does it say that? Norton versus Shelby County talks about de facto. Also in Norton versus Shelby County, it says you can never create a de facto office. Never create a de facto office. And we have de facto offices all over America right at this moment. But what is a de facto court? I got a definition here from the Black's Law Dictionary. Anybody can look it up. Mine is the 5th edition. But it says, one established, organized, and exercised its judicial function under authorities of the statute apparently valid, though such statutes may be in fact unconstitutional and may be afterwards so adjudicated, or a court established and acting under the authority of a de facto government. Now that is very interesting. So looking up de facto government in the Black's Law Dictionary, it says a government of fact, a government actually exercising power and control as opposed to a true and lawful government, a government not established according to the Constitution of the nation or lawful, entitled to recognition or supremacy, but which has nevertheless supplanted or displaced the government de jure. Again, Norton versus Shelby County. A government deemed unlawful and deemed wrongful or unjust, which nevertheless receives pleasantry, habitual obedience from the bulk of its community. Where do we have a de facto government? In Michigan, our governor is a de facto governor, along with the Secretary of State, and the AG. They're all de facto. This government is a de facto government. Wasn't brought on by a proper election, was put into power and has power and control over the people. And what are the people doing? They're following it. They're believing it. They're listening to it, and they're taking the word of these de facto politicians as law, and it's not. We need to wake up. This is so important, so critical to our well-being as a republic. Without law, we don't have a republic. We have a democracy, as they've been trying to shove down our throat all these years. A democracy meaning we have 51% telling the other 49% what to do. That's a democracy. We don't have a democracy in this country. Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution states we have a republic. People need to wake up. I'm hoping this information that we speak about gets out to somebody other than those that are truly patriots and really want to do something. I mean, there's
that's it. I think a lot of the people here, you got people that are come on here every day. John's here and Charlotte's here and Curtis is here, and that we see, and Karen's here and such. Intermodal Mike is here. That's kind of cool. And good morning to all of you. And Eric's here too. So I mean, it's kind of cool. And most of the people here have, I would say, probably an above average knowledge of what's really going on, and also the law. Most of the people that are here, I would say, if I had to put up a group of people, I think what I would do for in some sort of a capacity is as an advisory board. There's quite a few people here that I would probably include in that because of the amount of knowledge, such as yourself, that you can tap into the actual knowledge that real people have, not attorneys, but actual real people who have studied. In some cases, like you and Eric, I would say the two of you have probably studied a good portion of your life. And that wisdom and that knowledge is just one of the most valuable things that you could, better than say like an AI. I was just messing around with AI over there a minute to see if I could bring up the 5th edition of Black's Law Dictionary, and it's not, but I do have an unmoderated AI model on my computer that I can always tap into. But I wanted to see what a normal one, so I put up Copilot, and which is part of Edge, and didn't give me much of a definition. I just wanted to see what it would do. But it's really important. It's really important for us to study this stuff and to go to people who we know and we trust that really love this nation. And by loving this nation, loving we the people, as flawed as we are, we got to stand together and help each other when we fall down, when we have a bad day, when there's troubles. We have to stand together as a family. It's not just when things are good, it's always.
That's right. That's right. Again, we need to understand that those people that want to get out on the front lines and do the battle need support. Need support from the others that are following and that want to do something. Maybe they're not willing to stand up in front of the court. A lot of people get jelly knees when they do that. They look at the judge and they get frightened. So that's okay. Don't do it. But support those that are doing it, however you can, either by putting some time in or putting some money in. And this is an expensive process. We can't, and that's why the Democrats are winning this battle, or at least not winning, but making such a splash, is because they have the funny money behind them. They have
both parties do. Both major parties do.
Well, I suspect that the lefty Democrats, they have Soros and they have the banking system more in their realm and their ability to print the funny money. Biden uses that constantly. and launders money left and right, along with all of the other, Hillary Clinton and the like. They launder money. They come up with money from the government, pays billions of dollars to go to Ukraine, and Ukraine kicks back half of it or a good part of it, and
to them.
Yeah, back to them individually and or to the people that they're paying off. This is the laundering system because they have control of the funny money system. We need to get rid of the funny money system. We need to get out of the banking system the best we can.
And get rid of all the rules and regulations that tell us what we can and can't do, which is unconstitutional. But, and on a personal level, though, I'm going to go back to this personal level thing, and I'm going to beat this drum a little bit here. On a personal level, we have to check ourselves every single day and say, and are we focused on the right things in life, or are we just in it to make a buck? Do we see people as a way to make a buck? Is that what this has devolved down to, is just using everybody around you? Or can we actually step forward as friends and pick up without having to get paid for every little thing that we do or think or anything else like that? Is this our MO? Are we here to help serve God without conditions? Or is it constantly to be making a buck here or there, or being treated like a prince or a princess, sitting on our own thrones and having other people serve us? Or are we actually trying to take care of the greater good around us? I really would like to know.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
What are you doing today?
Do you need that?
Yes, Ralph. Yes, Ralph, please pass the link on. What are we doing today? Honestly, ask yourself this. What are you doing today to take care of not just somebody that you want to garner favor with? That's still buying your way into something. But what are you doing today to take care of the world around you with nobody seeing or no payback? That's the dividing line right there. Are you willing to do something for nothing with no payback and no recognition? And can you do it without anybody even seeing that you're doing it? There you go. There's the standard for actually doing something. And oh wow, it's amazing. It's in the Bible. It is in the Bible. Don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. Just go out there, slide in, fix things, and slide out again. And see how well. Watch what happens in your life when you have that metric to give things away without condition. And watch, it's not that you're holding God to if you think you're going to hold God to a contract, claim it and frame it, you do this and God has to do this for me. No. You just voided everything because you didn't understand how love works. If your kid came to you and said, well, I'm going to do this for you, and then you have to do this for me, my kid would have been in timeout for 28 years. I'm going to tell you that right now. I would say, turn your little behind around. You go sit in your room for a while until you want to come out and talk like a human being and not like a little crazy-eyed monster. And it's like I'm pretty sure God's sitting there going, oh, you think this is going to work out like that, right? I don't think he's going to work it out at all. The claim it, frame it crap has to stop. We don't hold God to a contract. And that's just the way it is. This is his sandbox. He owns the whole thing, including our lives and everything around us. It's all God's. And, we don't have, guess what you're going to leave with? Hopefully with your soul. I'm not sure if a lot of people are even going to make it out with that because their treasure is here on the material world. But we don't own a thing. If you did, you'd be able to leave this world with it. You would have come here with something and you would have left here with something. Thereby, you don't own a thing. It's temporary. And, it's like to sit here and hold. I can't even imagine the stupidity of having that attitude. Now, that's a low IQ person that thinks that way, quite honestly. But the point being is that if we get up and go, okay, all right, Dad, what you want me to do today? I'm learning from you. I don't know really anything other than this much of about that much that's out there. So that puts me in the supremely ignorant, stupid category 99.9% of the time, probably almost 100% of the time, and to be able to say, what do you want me to do in this world? Give me a selfless task that nobody knows I did with no payback whatsoever. And I just want to see how that feels or how that goes. And then when you're done, leave it at God's feet, walk away from it, and never speak of it again to anyone, and see what happens. Just see what happens. Then ask for another one. He may be breaking you of bad attitudes until you get it figured out that he's not going to be used by you, me, or anybody else. And I think once we get it figured out on how to selflessly and humbly follow God, I think that things are going to turn around pretty well. I mean, why would you need to steal if God was taking care of you? And whatever path he puts you in, it's like you'll be taken care of. You may not get what you want, but you get what you need. And all of a sudden the richness of God comes into your life, and it's really an amazing process. And until this nation turns back to God and gets themselves out of the way, we're going to fight each other until Christ comes back, seeing each other as the obstacle to success, whatever that is. And we're our own worst enemies in that regard. It's incredible to me. But anyhow, so a selfless thing today that you could do without even telling anybody that you did it. And I'm just going to give you an example. Go ahead and talk to 5 people about John's meeting tomorrow night to help educate people.
Yeah.
And pass it on. It's like when you see something that John's doing or anybody else is doing, what are you going to do to help them? What are you going to do to help John, who is graciously in his senior age as a teacher has decided to continue on, in his duty that he swore an oath to educate and to stand for the United States of America. He doesn't need to do this. He doesn't need to do this at all to save anybody's behind or to tell him or teach him anything. It's a graciousness that he's extended to this nation for the love of this nation. So here's your project for the day. Let's talk about John's
Zoom
tomorrow night, his Zoom meeting, and see if we can get more people educated to listen to what's going on there. And maybe so you just flip this thing out there in social media and in groups or something, and just say, hey, look, I found this is kind of cool, and put it out there. And let's just see what happens and never say a thing. Maybe you go to a neighbor's house today and I don't know, you pick some flowers. There's still flowers out there. Once in a while you can find even in October you can find something. Or I don't know, something beautiful. Leave somebody a bouquet, ring the doorbell, leave, and never tell them what you did. And there's a million things you can do. I mean, really, everybody around you, you know the needs they have, but if you can do it quietly without taking credit for it, you'll do it in a way that doesn't try to hold God responsible for fulfilling your made up contract. And so I just think it's important to think that way. Give.
Thank you. Our website, and you can go to it if you choose to, and it also has, I believe, at this point, it's up to date, so it has the Zoom ID number that you can zoom in and get on our Zoom on Wednesday night. Is magnificentrepublic.com. Go to that website. You can look up the information as to how to get onto the website or how to get onto the Zoom, and it'll give you the information you need. And that's Wednesday night at 7 to 9. So, we're going to talk about what it takes to be a natural born citizen. Everybody should know this. The Democrats should know this. The Republicans should know this, but most of them don't. And once again, I state that the Supreme Court identifies terms, not the legislature. And so when it comes to, and not the executive, of course, not the executive branch, but when it comes to defining a term of what certain things are, that's the Supreme Court that does that. They're the supreme law of the land. If you don't believe that, go to Article 3 of the United States Constitution and read it. It says the Supreme Court is the supreme law of the land. And so the supreme law of the land states what it takes to be a natural born citizen, not what the Democrats or Kamala or any of those other fake people, de facto people, think what it should be. So you should know this, because once we know this and we pass this information on, Kamala shouldn't get only one vote, and that's her voting for herself. Well, maybe Obama. Maybe she'll get 2. And that should be all she gets, because the rest of the American people know that she's not a natural born citizen, and she has no ability or authority to run as for president and or at least and be a president, because she has no constitutional authority. She's de facto. It's clear as a bell.
Yeah, and so and you know what? Quite honestly, everybody's got to get in the game. Stop being everybody's got to stop being a little baby bird with their mouth open. See how much will drop in their mouth from the government. Well, the government is us. It's like if you're taking something for the government, you're literally taking from your neighbors, your community, the state, and such. I don't mind helping people when they're in doubt, but a consistent dependence on the government makes you a slave. They're only going to give you what they think that you should have, and that's less than what they're taking. It's crumbs, being fed crumbs at the table like a dog. That's what it is. And I don't know. I think it's a bad plan. So anyhow. Anything else to talk about today, John? Since we were talking about, we were like two grumpy old guys here on the thing this morning. We're like, man, I'm sick of this apathetic attitude that's going on here, and oh, sorry, I can't do this because I got to be in my comfort zone. And it's like, what are you gonna do? Here's a question: what are you gonna do when you get into a survival situation? I've traveled to a lot of really remote, rough areas, and that where we were doing work and such. It's not, you might be, who knows, away from even a gas station or a bathroom or something. But what happens if you have a meltdown in your area? The system crashes. There's no money. There's no water. There's no toilet. There's no anything like that. What are you gonna do? What are you going to do? And this is the question that everybody is going to be compelled to ask. Where are you going to go to get help? Wrong question right there. That is the wrong question. What are you prepared to do to take care of yourself and those around you you care about? That's what an adult does.
Absolutely.
And so there's the mom lesson for today. That's what I would have told my kids. Don't go crying for somebody else to help your sorry behind. Figure it out and get prepared so that you can actually be an adult to help the others around you. Like, let's just say you decide I'm going to make this a real simple thing right now, right? Let's just say that you decide, okay, well, I need 10 cans of soup, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's a very narcissistic little statement that was made right there, because I have 10 cans of soup for myself. The way that it should be approached is, well, let's see. People need X amount of food for this X amount of time. And so I have, several people around me that I know I can help. So I'm going to make sure I have enough to share for those people that I love. Okay, there's another mom. Wake up and get in the game. Start taking care of each other and stop being a baby bird. There you go. Rant almost over. Not quite, but we're almost there.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Yeah. What would they have done in the service? Don't they teach people anything there either? Like how to prepare for people around them. I mean, I haven't been in the service, so I don't know.
Well, yeah, it was always you take care of your buddies because you need them to help you survive. If something happens to you or if you get into a fight, you need your support. You can't do it by yourself. It's all teamwork. It's all
teamwork.
Yep, it's all teamwork. We have to work together to fight this battle. Here's the big problem with what's going on. If we don't fix this thing through the airways and through the media in a media war, then we're going to end up fixing it with bullets. We need to fix it this way. This is the way Trump decided to do it. This is the way it should be done. We don't want to get into a physical war, blood and guts all over the place. We don't want to go there.
President Trump, the rightful president of the United States of America, kept us out of war, had a great economy. He was diplomatic. He went and he talked with people. He let them know what the consequences were going to be or what it's going to look like and gave them some choices to have a better way to deal with things. He was smart enough to have a plan. He didn't just show up and go, well, there's no plan. I'm just kind of here. He actually had a plan,
Well, we know that Kamala, whatever you want to call her, doesn't have any plan. She hasn't even been down to the border. She walked down to the border last minute, a couple of days ago, to say that, we fixed the border. So if you listen to her, at one point she says the border's fine, it's secure. And then now she says, I'll fix the border when I become president.
Yeah, why? She hasn't done it. She's been there. She could have fixed it. She had the power to do that.
She fixed it. Why now she wants to fix it?
Because Trump. Because let's blame President Trump for it. Because that's what we do. We're complete and utter failure, and we're going to blame everything in the plant and then except the person had the ability to fix it.
So why do we have people that think that she is a possible candidate? Just by what she says alone should tell the people that she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's been doing 3.5 years, and now she wants another 4 years to fix what she wrecked in the first 3.5 years. Come on, folks. Come on, wake up. She could take a pencil to paper right now and fix the border. She can fix the economy. She could do all of that. But what is she waiting for? This whole sense that to give me another 4 years to fix it. She'll wreck it even further. Don't do what the politicians don't follow what the politicians say. Follow what the politicians do. And that should be your motto when you listen to these people. What have they been doing? And they have been destroying America for the last 200 years, step by step. So we don't get it. We, the public, don't see it. We need to wake up to this stuff right now.
I think we're going to see a house cleaning, and that's not just the politicians. I think that's the population. I hate to say it, but they would love nothing better than to see the United States of America reduced to a horrifically low number. And that the only way they do that is by killing a whole bunch of us. And that's what they really want. And they're just going to sit there and laugh. If we don't find ways to get along with each other, they'll sit there and laugh and watch us kill ourselves. It's like watching roosters fight in the how they do that, where I've never seen it, but I know that it happens when they do the rooster fighting stuff. And it's like that's what they want. They think that's funny to watch things kill each other and do their own damage, because then they don't have to do it for themselves, but even though they're willing to. So, well, John, I'm going to let you go unless you want to stay on. I'm going to bring Ralph and Karen on right now. Here, I'll bring them on.
Unfortunately, have to run. I got another place to be. So thank you. It's been a great chance to rant, and hopefully it hits home to a lot of people.
Well, I tell you, this is like, what is it? Those two old guys on the Muppet Show.
Good morning.
I think that's you and I right now. We're the two old guys on the Muppet Show sitting in the balconies and heckling everybody a little bit. But hopefully we'll see some better behavior, you know?
Statler and Waldorf.
Yeah, Statler and Waldorf. So thanks a lot for coming on today, John. And everybody go to his Zoom. And remember, go tell everybody about John's Zoom. Let's make this nation smarter.
Thank you. Goodbye, y'all.
All right, we'll see you. We'll see you later, okay? Let's see if I can remove John here. Bam. And John, oh, no, he's gone. He's back. And John goes away.
He's a prisoner. He's a prisoner.
He's a prisoner.
This is what we call the Muppet Show.
Morning, guys. How are you?
Good. How are you?
See, this is what I call true friends. When I call and I say, guess what? Sheriff Mack just got on a plane and is apologizing profusely. And I need you guys to jump on and whammo. Here comes my friends. I love it.
Magic. It's like magic.
Yeah, you guys are so faithful. I love you guys so much. I have had a lousy week this week, quite honestly, and I am up to here with faithlessness and stupidity. It's just one of those things that I feel like I need a brain break from I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. It's very
Human
frustrating.
failings.
It's very frustrating, sitting, paying attention, which is our duty, but listening to the news just lie and not tell us about stuff. And you wonder why so many people walk around, just totally clueless. Oh, yeah, Kamala Harris, she sounds like she's going to be great for the country.
Well, I'm not buying that because I've been scrolling on Facebook a little more lately, and sometimes I'm doing research, and so YouTube becomes one of those places that I look, and I'm seeing her ads much more often than Trump.
Karen, you're
and
right.
They're everywhere, but I've decided to start looking at the comments on them. I ignore the ad itself. Look at the comments. They are all negative. I can scroll for a while and everybody's like, it's like people are on a mission to inform other people how bad Harris is on Harris's own ads. So her ads become a place for people to complain about her. It's fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah, she is everywhere. Like everything I open up, I see one of her ads. YouTube especially. It's like, come on. You really think you're going to change my mind?
Yeah, there you go.
But obviously, just if you don't pay attention to the news, especially Fox News, which is the worst because they're complete traitors to us.
Fox spelled F-A-U-X.
But you just look around, drive around. I mean, do you see many Walt Harris signs or whatever? Not many. So I don't know.
Okay. So do you want me to tell you a stupid human story?
Yeah, of course.
You're gonna laugh. Okay, you guys are gonna just laugh hysterically at this because I know that you have some intellectual excellence going on here. Okay, so does the rest of my audience. So you guys are just gonna die over this. This is hilarious. So there is a person in a situation that we were involved in. Okay. And that's all I can say. I should probably say stupid tenant tricks. Okay. This is a stupid tenant trick. Okay. We'll have it. I'll start titling it. And for whatever reason, a bat got into the apartment flying around. And this person was so hysterical. Now I want you to think about how far down the chain we've gone and being able to understand the world and know what's happening. So a person of excellence, excellent character, went over there and caught the bat that was flying around in the apartment. Brought the cute little bat outside because that person loves bats. I hate bats, but that person loves bats. Sets his little self down and says, "Fly away, little bat." Walked it away, long ways away so that it wouldn't come back in the area. Walks it away. The tenant is so hysterical about this, runs down to the hospital and starts rabies shots.
Are you kidding?
I kid you not.
Low
Despite
IQ.
having no actual contact with the bat.
No contact with the bat. The bat was in there flying around. I mean, you could be outside flying around and the bat guan could be falling on your head out there with as many bats as we have around downtown Grand Rapids. And you could be having bat guan fall on your head. Okay? I'm sorry. It's the way it is. And so that is called bat shit. Okay? I think this is where bat shit crazy comes from. Okay? So this woman goes down and has to start rabies shots.
That almost hurt.
Yeah. Okay. This is like the stuff that I've been dealing with this week. And
Yeah.
this is the hysterical mindset that has creeped into this nation. And oh my God, they know everything. They know everything. Just ask them, they'll tell you. And then they do stuff that's like completely irrational based on nothing. And
Wow.
have themselves in a complete spin out of control over stupid stuff like this.
Our society has been dumbed down big time.
And put into a panic over nothing. You know, I want you guys to think, I'm gonna go through Panic of the Month Club here, since we're on a mom situation right now. I'm gonna do the mom thing, right? So we have this Panic of the Month Club nonsense going on in our nation. And I'll tell you what happens. It's the same thing that politicians do or NGOs do. They're just looking for prey, which is each and every one of us. They don't see us human beings. They see us as prey. And they jimmy the laws, the rules, and the policies unconstitutionally to create industries for themselves, to extort money because they're getting paid with dollars from our taxes to do this, right? So what you see is you see the nonsense, and it is nonsense. I'm going to tell you right now, it is nonsense. There are easy ways to deal with this instead of turning it into an, oh my gosh, panic industry, right? So Michigan started out with Panic of the Month Club being lead-based paint. Now I am actually certified in lead-based paint, removal. And so, but that's a Panic of the Month Club. So now you got to have everybody trained. You got to pay for the training. You got to go to these excessive things and such. Do you realize how much lead is in our ground from the lead that was in unleaded gas until the 70s?
Yeah.
Ain't going away, guys. I hate to tell you this. The amount of lead that's in, unless you got a kid that you're not watching that's eating paint chips, anything before 78 is likely to have lead in it. Just the way it is. Okay. We can cover it up, but
Well, and aside from that, most, I believe almost all actually of the water surface entrances in Michigan are still plumbed using lead pipe.
Yep. So guess what? You're screwed. Totally screwed. It's everywhere.
Where it
You're gonna
connects
have
the
to
water
deal with
main
it.
out at the street to your house, if you're not on well water, if you're on city water, there's generally a piece of lead pipe between the water main and the house. I believe that's still actually common practice. If not, it's only been, it was even just a few years ago, because the lead pipe is ductile enough that they can just bend it around and connect wherever the pipe from the house comes up.
Yeah, easier to
And
work.
let me give you some more bad news on that. If you own a house, you're responsible for that from your house to the street. So
Really?
let's just go past the landlord thing and go into private property and how this actually works nonsense. Okay. And so if your kids are outside playing in the dirt, oh my gosh, they're probably playing in lead soil or soil that has lead in it, especially if you're by big areas that, are in town. Oh
By a
my
road.
gosh, your kids are probably playing around that because if you're in an old house, it was probably painted with lead paint. And it's probably in the ground, and there ain't no way you're going to get away from that. You can move around as much as you want, but just because of the emissions coming out in the cars and the air, it's still there.
Well,
Okay.
anywhere next to roads too has a ton of heavy metals from the cars, as well as a ton of microplastics from the tires. And
Our brains are made up of 0.5% plastic. Just saw that statistic.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
quite a bit.
Let's create a real panic here to put things in perspective to get people out of Stupidville. Okay.
Let's send all of your listeners to the hospital.
Yeah, let's just make you panic to the point where you're done with this. Actually, we do that with horses when we train them. If they're afraid of something, we just push it on them a little bit more until they get used to it, and then they're like, "Oh, geez, this is nothing."
Well, and the
You know?
microplastics problem, a lot of that, as I understand it, one of the larger sources of that is the tires, the tire wear as the cars are going down the road.
So
So
who
what do we
caused it?
do?
Every single driver. That's not government that caused it. Everybody that consumed it did.
Sure.
So what do we do for that to alleviate that problem? We put really heavy electric cars on the road that need special heavy duty tires because they wear out their tires so fast.
Yeah.
And then we just make heavier duty tires so that when they wear out faster, they're fine.
Yeah.
And then we just have more plastics and more nonsense that we created because we consumed them, and we don't think things through. That's the problem. Okay, so then after lead-based paint, guess what the next one was?
Animal feces.
Nope, it was asbestos. And so after that, then, and you could watch all of these guys that were working in the lead-based paint all of a sudden ran out of government money, and they didn't care about the issue anymore. So they moved to asbestos, the new panic, right? And so now we have to have all of this asbestos removal and blah, blah, blah. Is asbestos a problem? It can be. But my dad used to laugh at it. He said he used to grind out, he was a mechanic. And he did a lot of mechanicking besides being a crane operator and such, and a welder. He said, "Do you know how many brakes I ground down that were asbestos-based brakes in my life?" He goes, he would just sit there and laugh at it. He goes, "None of this was regulated." And he said it wasn't a problem. Now, it was when they started blowing asbestos insulation in plants and people came out looking like the abominable snowman, and they were breathing. That was a problem. I'll give you that. And I know people that died of that. That was definitely a problem. But now they turned something that really wasn't a targeted problem, and they made an industry to extort money out of people's panic. All right.
Well, another thing too about that is the problems that we had with asbestos. Studies are showing that really the same kinds of problems exist with carbon fiber. And we've been using carbon fiber all over the place now for several decades. And so, if we're going to regulate the heck out of asbestos, but yet we've got another material that has the same problems that people have been using safely now for decades with no real adverse health effects. How much of this is made up and how much of it is real?
There's no money in it. That's the problem. And you watch it. So guess what came after the Panic of the Month Club for asbestos? By the way, there's the way that the way that they take asbestos down, besides cording it all off. You wet it down. You wet it down, and I'm not telling anybody to do that because half of the country or more is in Panic of the Month Club constantly. And so, but they're throwing it in the landfills. They want to make everybody think that they're safe removing it. That's why a lot of the buildings that are still standing over in Detroit and such, it's because they're loaded with asbestos. You remember the old ceiling tiles that were in the drop ceilings? A lot of those were asbestos tiles. And I did, as a hobby, I did stained glass for a while there. It was something I thought was pretty fun to do. And so I made a bunch of stained glass windows and such. And we used to tack things down on one of those ceiling tiles. That's how we would actually assemble it on a ceiling tile because it was asbestos and it didn't burn as we were soldering it, which I think is it's amazing. I mean, we didn't even think about it at the time. I mean, that's what we did. I mean, and so kind of a interesting thing, just so you know. Okay? And so, not that I'm concerned about it. I'm going to tell you what, my dad never had any problems with his lungs, and I'm telling you, he said there's so much asbestos. He goes, look at this, the hysteria that they have over oil. And we work on pipeline work. We work in gas and oil. You can't spill one drop, or somebody's out there with a little sand shovel and a sand pail out there and pulling it off the ground, right? But the ridiculousness of it is everyone that has a car and goes parks at, say, like, Walmart or something like that, or how many cars are dumped in junkyards that were not drained of oil, or old tractors or farm equipment and such. They're all linking oil into the ground. Okay. Is it a problem? Yeah, not really. Not in as large of a part as they want to make it, but you can go down, and one of the biggest polluters in the city of Grand Rapids is going to be Padnos and all the batteries that they had right there by the Grand River. But sorry to be the harbinger of reality, but that's just the way it is. So anyhow, let's move on. So what do you think is the Panic of the Month Club that everybody that went from lead paint to asbestos to the new one? Guess what it is?
I know what it should be. It's never what you think.
Take a guess.
Fake
No idea.
vaccines.
What's that?
Fake vaccines.
Nope.
Injecting yourself with chemicals.
Black mold.
Oh yeah, black mold.
Okay, so that was the next Panic of the Month Club.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, when there's mold and such, and you see problems like that, absolutely, it has to be dealt with. But guess what? All these guys that turned this into an industry that went from lead, now they don't care about lead because there's no money there anymore. They go to asbestos. No money in asbestos anymore. Now we're going to go to black mold, and we're going to have everybody panic. Now they put kits out so that everybody can test everything for mold and this, that, and the other thing. It's like, guys, you're kind of living in the world that we live in. You are not in a sterile environment. It's going to come up testing for something pretty much anywhere you are, unless you live in a bubble.
Yeah.
You can literally make a sourdough starter just by using rye flour and water. And just because of the molds that you have on your countertop and in the air.
Spores. Yeah.
Yep. You're not going to get away from it. And so guess what? It's like the whole world has got all kinds of things. We need certain bacteria in our lives. We need certain of these things in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just of being freaked out because something does a flyby that's a bat, and you're not going to get raped. Okay, it's not realistic. So what they're doing now is they're selling all the test kits so everybody can panic at home. You know what? I'm going to tell you what, if you ever watched how people actually live like I have, you would be we had one house that I can tell you right now. I know they were trafficking kids. We called the police. We called CPS. Nobody did a damn thing. We got in there. There were 6 beds in there and 11 bags of trash, including things that I politely will not talk about on this show and such. They don't care if there's no money in it. And then they get everybody all panicked on trying to fix things that cannot be fixed the way they think they would, and I'm going to guess if you don't want mold around, you probably should clean
or move to Arizona.
Move to Arizona. Probably a good idea to have something like bleach on hand.
Yeah.
Maybe open your windows periodically to air it out and get some of the moisture out of your air.
Take some responsibility yourself. If you see something where there's black mold coming through it, I'd say, it probably should be addressed. Yeah. But just test because you're afraid that you have mold spores in the air because you got the sniffles. This literally happened this week. We've got the sniffles, so now we're going to go around and we're going to test for mold spores. It's going to show up as mold spores because knock, knock, you're in Michigan.
Yeah. Just to divert for 1 second, you mentioned bleach. Everyone should have a gallon of bleach today in their house because it is great and not just as a disinfectant. And I think we talked about this a long time ago. You can use it to disinfect wounds when you dilute it with a lot of water. And the most important is it'll purify water, because if the power goes out, the water's gone.
And freshen your supply periodically too, because bleach does lose potency over time.
They're losing. They were out of water down in North Carolina. My friend that I interviewed down there, they were the water was running out, and so they were in a boil. You had to boil water situation. What if you don't have power?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
If you've got, would you tell people to disinfect their water with bleach, David?
I would use 2 drops per gallon of non-fragrance bleach, just straight bleach.
Okay, I'm going to add something. That requires, if you're not a baby bird waiting for somebody to drop a supply on your head, so you to have some eyedroppers.
Yeah. And you're not going to die from it. So if you didn't have the eyedroppers and you put the cap and fill the cap and put it in a gallon or 2, you're going to be fine. It tastes like swimming pool water or something. But you got to think ahead, because when you need it, you're not going to be able to get it.
Now, you had an article that you found, I think, that you said had a bunch of really good comments on water purification.
Yes.
Do you have some other highlights from that? Because I couldn't access those comments.
Well, let's talk
I
about
was saving it for Friday for survival stuff.
Yeah, let's do that. But let's talk about this. You can make bleach too. 3% salt solution in water. So whatever your solution is, if you've got water and you put salt in it, 3% salt to water ratio, and run any charge of electricity through it, and you will make bleach.
Yeah, it's got to be
electricity.
It's got to be reasonably low voltage electricity. I think it's somewhere in the range of like 3 volts. So if you've got like 2 AA's or something like that, I'd have to look, but I think that's about the range that you need. So I mean, like most solar panels, you should be able to generate enough electricity off of that too, and it's fairly low current. So it doesn't take much to make bleach.
Oh, okay. So Charlotte added in. Charlotte said, this is funny. You guys are brilliant out there. I'm going to say that because I knew you were going to come up with some brilliance. You guys are beautiful. Let's see. We've got, let's add chemtrails now to lead in the soil.
Yeah, and they do all this stuff for lead is terrible, but then you look at aviation fuel, and you've still got the low lead gas for anything that isn't a diesel plane. Any of them that still use gas still got lead in it, because they only just recently certified another fuel to replace low lead gas, and it's like stupid expensive right now, so nobody carries it. And
what's the additives that they're putting in it? There's my question right there, because they can make you panic on lead, raise the cost, put another additive in it that we're going to find out it's going to kill you later. Do you want me to make a prediction? I'm going to make a prediction on the next Panic of the Month Club that's looming over all of our heads.
Gasoline.
Guess what it is?
Gasoline, so we have to drive electric.
No, this is another one. It's actually a little more serious than this.
I don't know.
Spray foam insulation. That everybody has decided to go to the closed cell foam insulation right now. Well, guess what, sports fans? I'm going to give you a news flash here. The UK right now is tearing down houses that have that crap in it, because guess what? It takes about 5 years, and all of a sudden everybody starts having respiratory problems because it's leaching formaldehyde in the houses, and you can't get rid of it. So they tear the houses down.
I heard that. I heard about that. Yeah, formaldehyde.
So that's going to be the next Panic of the Month Club that they've all got. Is once these guys have made all their money putting a poisonous substance into our homes that can't be gotten rid of, and all of a sudden everybody's lungs start being having a problem from it, it's going to be like, okay, there's nothing we can do. Time to tear the houses down. Well, guess what that does? That feeds the building economy again.
Well, and we've talked too about how the dosage makes the poison on a lot of things. your own body makes formaldehyde. It's just in small quantities.
Yeah, it's always everything seems to be such a scam. The stock market, our politics, our government, our president, everything.
So let's look at this. I'm going to bring that video up that you brought because we were talking about AI. So right now they're trying to make us all panicked about AI. Okay. Oh no, the great evil AI. No, AI isn't as evil as you think it is. People think it is, but it's evil if it's moderated. So if you have AI and you can run it on your own computer, you can actually.
I'm running something called private AI. It's kind of like ChatGPT, except it's not. Everything about it is running right here on my computer. I'm not even connected to the internet. This is private, contained, and my data isn't being shared with some random company. So in this video, I want to do two things. First, I want to show you how to set this up. It is ridiculously easy and fast to run your own AI on your laptop, computer, or whatever it is. This is free, it's amazing, and it'll take you about 5 minutes. And if you stick around to the end, I want to show you something even crazier, a bit more advanced.
Okay, there you go. Now I'm going to put that on my Telegram channel. So let's go do a selfless thing and share information. You can have them come here to get information here, Telegram channel, or copy and paste and get it out there yourself. I don't really care. But if we have people that are actually armed with information instead of being told what to think, our entire country, decentralized, will be a better place. So let's go forward.
Show you how you can connect your knowledge base, your notes, your documents, your journal entries to your own private GPT. And then ask it questions about your stuff. And then second, I want to talk about how private AI is helping us in the area we need help most, our jobs. You may not know this, but not everyone can use ChatGPT or something like it at their job. Their companies won't let them, mainly because of privacy and security reasons. But
bam, there's
very valid reasons.
Real valid. And number two, I'm going to let you talk to this, Ralph, because I do run a private AI on occasion. I don't use it a lot, but if I want to look something up fast and I'm online, I will actually sit there and I will pull something up. But why would you run a private AI, Ralph?
So this is something that I think everyone should have as an off-grid preparedness thing, is to set up their own private AI, because basically AI is at its core just statistics. And the way that all of these AIs work, they've got a statistically significant distilled down version of as much knowledge as people have been able to generate and put out on the internet to train it, right? So if you have one of these things and you can run it offline on your computer without being connected to the internet, that's a great source of knowledge that you can use if everything's down and you can't look stuff up. You can still access a whole bunch of stuff there and at least get hints as to where you need to look in authoritative sources to find the information you need. And when you use things like ChatGPT or any of them that are cloud-based from these big cloud providers, or Microsoft or Amazon or anything that's the big AIs, all you're doing is giving them more data to train on to be able to use it against you. And a lot of these models are open source, and there are people that go through the models and take the bias back out of them, because what these companies do is they build a model based on what's on the internet, what they can find, what people know, any kind of knowledge they can gather up. They build a statistical model that as accurately as possible reflects that. Then, as a second step, they make it safe, which is where they add in all of their biases to try and make sure that only the approved ideas come through on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a whole community of people that will take these models and reverse those biases back out of them and then publish them online as basically open source. And there's an entire website for different models you can download called Hugging Face. And he talks about that in that video, about how to get the models from there. But because of that, you can have a debiased, uncensored model that you can run yourself that none of these big cloud companies are going to even touch, because it will have, actual information in it and not have it all be just sanitized to their liking.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give me a link on that, please, in the chat?
Sure.
And I just published that video on my Telegram channel, and let's see. Oh,
There's
Telegram.
HUG in FACE.
HUGGINGFACE.co. And if you wanted to pull that up, you can go up to models up at the top.
Okay, hang on a minute. Tell me what it was again, and I will.
It's in the chat.
Oh, duh.
Image to text. Interesting.
Yeah, and then they've got stuff for like data sets. If you wanted to be able to train your own model from scratch, you can run it on the data sets. But if you click on models there, up at the top, it's got all different categories in here. So like that Meta Llama there that's up at the top, that is going to be a version of the Llama model that Facebook uses. You can get a whole bunch of different models. There's a bunch of variations on Llama. There's another one that's called Alpaca.
These are some of the earlier ones, right?
Usually these lag about, I would say, maybe 3 months behind current. Most of the companies out there tend to publish their models after just really even just a few months. So they may not be the most current, but they're going to be close. And if you, let's see here, if you were to go into the models there and search for uncensored, you can find
just a minute. I'm
ones.
going to throw that in my Telegram channel a minute real quick.
Okay.
And okay, hang on a
Ralph,
minute.
how come the biggest one out there, ChatGPT, why do they hide everything? All these other ones are like open source, but they hide everything, even though they're called open AI. What are they?
Yeah, it's not exactly open, is it?
No, they're hiding something.
They sure are. That's when you pay for a service. They're moderating what you see, and they're really curating the content that you have access to. All right, what did you want me to go to?
Search for uncensored. But see, part of it there too is with ChatGPT and with really all of these models, they really don't want you to know what. See, that's one of them. If you go back, you can find versions of like Llama that are uncensored. So yeah, do a filter by name over next to models where it says over 1 million, over to the right.
Oh, on the right. Hang on. All right, let me get rid of this, guys. Okay, so like over to the right. Hang on.
Left of full text search. Yep, there you go.
Right there, right? Okay.
Yep. And type in uncensored. And there you go. There's versions of Llama from Facebook that they have unbiased. And a lot of times the people that have done these also list how they unbiased them. So you can get all kinds of neat stuff that way.
There you go. Warriors, a cyber warriors are at work here trying to give us options.
Yep. So to answer your question too of why they try and keep all this stuff so secret, part of it I think is because they really don't want to let people know where they're getting their training data, because a lot of it is either extreme privacy violations or is copyright infringement, plain and simple. And so, I mean, like any of the code generation stuff, if you're doing programming, pretty much all of that is based on generally open source programs. So stuff from like GitHub or GitLab, where they've trained a model on what it's found in open source programs. Not all open source programs, though, because an AI model looking through that is not going to have a good way to distinguish between what's validly open source and what's stuff that's like, for example, Microsoft posted old code for early versions of DOS. There's a lot of stuff on there that's not necessarily free to use. It's free to look at, but it's not necessarily free to distribute, or the license has different conditions on it or anything like that. And so, and like the image generation stuff, a lot of that, there was a big kerfuffle about that because they were training a lot of the image generation AIs on stuff like DeviantArt, which is basically a place where people can they can post whatever kind of artistic stuff that they've done, if be it paintings or pencil drawings or whatever. It's a place for artists to post art. Well, a lot of artists were not real happy about an AI going through all their stuff, learning their artistic style, and then copying it, because it's a statistical model. It has no concept of really anything about art other than what can I remix from different places to put something together. So a lot of it ended up being basically just plain and simple copying of existing artwork. And so I think a lot of these, they don't really want people to have access to them because they don't want people learning how much really illegal activity they've done to build these models.
You mean illegal, like stealing data from?
Yeah.
Illegally?
Yep.
So yeah, so this is a real important thing. And just so we know, shh, don't tell anybody. I'm going to do that, not like in a weird, creepy, deep state way, but I'm just going to say it. You don't have to pay the money to have these AI models. You can do it yourself and save the money and stop funding these creeps.
Yep. And stop building their training data set.
Yeah, watch. Somebody's going to take a picture of that and put it out there and say, oh, look at Donna. She's part of the deep state cabal. Here, let me get a rainbow and you can accuse me of that too.
So yeah, I think everybody though ought to download some of this stuff and just have it on hand. I mean, it's like, I've recommended KeyWix a bunch of times for having a copy of Wikipedia. It's like having a whole bookshelf full of books in one place, distilled down where it's easy to search. And you can train it on the data that, like, where do you find data like on survival, stuff like that? A lot of those AI models will have information contained with them on that because they've been trained on those data sets. I see. All right. So we don't need to train it specifically on certain data sets ourselves. Yep. They're already trained on stuff. Now, you've still got the same problem with those that you have with any AI model where you can't necessarily trust the output because it's all statistics. They may be hallucinating something, which is basically where they have found some quirk in the statistics that matches the pattern that it's looking for, but has no actual basis in reality. Ralph, to change the subject slightly, you've explained to me a little bit about how these things work. They kind of like look for words and patterns and things like that. Do you think they'll ever be able to think like we do? Not the way that we're going. I think they will be able to very much more accurately mimic human thought processes once we start actively combining AI with robotics. That's about the only way that I can actually foresee AI advancing significantly further than where we're at right now.
And that's what Musk seems to be doing right now, right? I mean, he's got all these robots. Everyone's going to have their own robot and stuff, and he's got his own AI.
Well, you kind of got that with the Tesla cars to a certain extent, because they have cameras all over them, and they have actuators to be able to drive, right?
Yeah.
So Tesla cars are, for all intents and purposes, just robots. But the reason why I think that AI can't really advance as far as possible until it's in robotics is because there's a feedback loop that we've got right now. They launched AI to the general public too early. And so, whereas before they used to be able to train AIs on the internet and have all data that was generated by humans, now there's so much of it on the internet that is generated by other AIs that AIs have no real good concrete way to tell the difference between what's reality and what's being hallucinated by another AI.
Wow.
So David, tell what this is. This is hilarious.
As we were talking, I just went to XAI and just said, make a picture or a cartoon of Donna Brandenburg saving the world from corrupt politicians.
That's fun. Well, I got the glasses right.
Yeah, I don't know what that BA is there, but I could keep tweaking it, but it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's fun. Donna Brandenburg badass. We'll call it that. That's funny. So
just amazing how fast it can do something.
Yeah, and there's versions of Grok that are on Hugging Face.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, that's kind of cool. So, see, some of us have access to, say, like Ralph's brilliance to help us be smarter when it comes to the cyber world. Thank God that we've got, people out there like John and Ralph and David and Karen that actually know actual stuff. It's amazing, and I appreciate everything that you guys share. Everybody out there too, people that are out in the chat. I really always appreciate when you post and such. It's amazing.
Well, and that's the beauty of a representative government system, is that it can integrate all of the knowledge that each of us individually have, because we all have different interests and knowledge in different areas than each other.
I think we're going to need AI involved in our political future in some way. I think we really need something to find out if people are lying or not to us, because you can't trust anyone anymore. I don't even know who to vote for, because I used to think you just check the Republican box, but most of these Republicans are against us and want to destroy America, but they sit there and lie to your face, and how can you tell?
I look for anybody that's been attacked brutally or silenced or that sort of thing, and that's what I look for.
Yeah, but new people coming on, they can tell you anything, and then as we've seen, they get there and they don't do anything, or they do the opposite of what they were going to say. And I don't know that maybe AI will be able to tell if somebody's lying or not in the future.
Here, I'm going to put that link into my Telegram channel there. Let's go help make the world a smarter place, guys.
So, what's in the news?
Well, I guess I've been. Oh yeah, you're still muted, Karen. It's been a lot with the North Carolina stuff. But go ahead, Karen. Now you're unmuted.
Yeah, I want you to go to a link that I sent you. I don't remember if I sent it in the chat here or I think I texted it to you. Maybe I put it on your group. It's about what how the storm path affected a certain area and why and how it could have intentionally been done.
The lithium thing.
Can you put that into the private chat here on while we're here? Is that possible, or do you want me to look it
Yeah,
up?
let me see where I put it.
It's much easier if you give it to me there, because then I can bring it up like real quickly, because that was a brilliant map. I was going to come on this week with Chris too, but I was still not feeling too well, because I found something that was really amazing by connecting and overlaying and looking at maps with the sanctuary cities. I think everybody's going to find this to be really fascinating.
Well, some people are saying that it really the center of it was over a future lithium mine.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Okay.
There's also a lot of talk about a lot of installations out there too, because, okay, everybody go to Karen's channel and give her a like. She does a wonderful job.
That was, I think that link, by the way, was one of my followers, and she follows you too. She might have sent it in your group. Amy Nelson, I think, is where I got that from. Sometimes she sends me a link that I wouldn't have seen elsewhere. If it's not this one, then I know it was another one she sent me that I shared today that I found valuable.
Okay, hang on a minute.
So hat tip to Amy.
Yeah, Karen's channel is wonderful. Oh, hang on a minute. Got to get rid of that. And is it the video?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a video. Hang
I'll
on.
tell you what I find suspicious as shit. That one of the areas affected by Hurricane Helene is the work.
See, this is what you don't have to do if you've got somebody working behind the scenes running your camera stuff. But that's okay. We're kind of like a do-it-all shop here right now. Real news for real people by real people at the kitchen table. Not the best, but making it work.
The shit that one of the areas affected by Hurricane Helene is the world's largest lithium deposit, and the DoD just entered into an agreement with this company right here to mine lithium for electric cars starting in 2025. Now that area is completely devastated. This is a $90 million agreement between the DoD and this company right here to get Kings Mountain, North Carolina lithium mine up and running by 2030. If that area has been inundated, is in a disaster zone, then the government can come in and do eminent domain, and they can pay you what it was worth 5 years ago rather than what it's worth right now. Imagine that your home is turned into a watery lot, and the government comes to you and says, hey, I'll pay you what you paid for it. You're going to take it and you're going to go, right? What do you think is going to happen right here now that they want this lithium mine up and running by 2025, 2030 at the latest? Back in 1947, we had the Florida-Georgia hurricane, or Hurricane 9, and it was the first hurricane to be targeted for weather modification. What happened was General Electric, the U.S. Navy, the Army, the Air Force, they poured dry ice into this hurricane using airplanes to see what would happen. Would they slow it down? Well, what happened was it slowed down a little bit, but it turned west really sharp. Let me show you. This is the path that the hurricane took in 1947. Does it look similar to you? Probably not. It's a coincidence, right? Moving on. I'm sure this is just another coincidence, but do you know who owns the most shares in that lithium mine? I'm talking Vanguard.
So much to think about with that video.
Unbelievable. Wow.
Well, they did weather modification experiments on hurricanes for a very long time using multiple different methods, not just dry ice. I think they tried a silver compound, and they tried a couple of different things. I'd have to see if I can. I think I can find a video on that.
They use HARP, the electromagnetic waves.
I have a different theory on HARP. I tend to think that HARP was. I think the weather modification was actually put out there as a distraction for HARP, because I tend to think that what they were doing is experimenting with active phased arrays for over the horizon radar.
Which we've talked about here a lot, actually.
It looks very, very similar, and it immediately predates a whole bunch of the military technology for doing radar on planes using active phased arrays. And it was right around a similar time to when the Russians were experimenting with their woodpecker installation, which looks like a vertical version of HARP for doing over the horizon radar. So that's my suspicion on that. Is that Yeah, it may have been used for weather manipulation as well, possibly. I'm not sure what the mechanics would be, but that was out there for quite a while too. But I tend to think that there was more to HARP than that.
There's a lot of distractions out there because people are bored very quickly. And guess what? The predators who are around us, like let's just say the FBI, the CIA, all of these people, they know people because they're predators. And they know what we're going to do. They know exactly how many shiny things that we'll look at, and they know what to do to grab our attention to keep us away from the truth. Look here so that we're not looking right next to us and what they're doing over here to harm us. And we need to remember that the things that seem immediately obvious or that people jump onto, they're usually caught up in something that has been sort of an asset capture situation, so that they either disable us from doing what needs to be done, like the political parties. We can look at Kamala Harris and say, oh yeah, what's she going to do at the border? She's been in office for almost 4 years now, and she's done nada, nothing. But putting her in office is going to change everything? I don't think so. Well, you know what? We vote for these major political parties, and everybody down ballot on it, and we're going to change anything? I don't really think so, guys. I think that pretty much they proved that they are not just sort of worthless, like totally worthless.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that video makes you think about, and it could be totally accurate, it could be partially accurate, it could be not accurate at all. This is just normal weather, but I've seen lots of reports of this is not normal hurricane behavior. This is not normal hurricane damage. I think the country is not understanding or recognizing, comprehending the actual level of damage done because the media hasn't been allowed in there due to coverage of internet and cellular services as well as power outages. So this is going to be affecting their ability to hold elections, at least to some degree. This is also going to affect the national level economy. Put that together with a strike. There's also been other threats of power outages, nuclear war. You were talking about fear this morning, but I think some of that I don't worry about at all. Some of that I think is quite possibly a threat that we should consider a possibility. These people know that Trump could be elected very, very well because the numbers are showing that. But if they, you had a guest on one day, Donna, and I don't remember whether it was one or another man. I was listening to it while gardening, and one of them said if they wanted us, if they thought we could be effective with a vote, they wouldn't allow us to do it. And I loved that because it's spot on. Why are they even allowing a vote to happen? Because they don't think it's effective. Yeah. And now that they think this vote could be effective, I think they're likely to target us. So whether this storm was an actual targeting threat, whether Ohio is one of those that could be intentional or not, could Michigan, a battleground state, potentially be a target for widespread damage of some sort in the next month? I think that's a realistic possibility because we are turning more and more red in Michigan, I think. And what could that mean? And I tied up with that video the fact that they have just recently announced they want to put an EV battery plant in Muskegon County, Michigan.
Yeah, it's an amazing how destructive and short-sighted these people are. They have no concept, and because they don't even have the capacity to care about the people around them. And I really think that going back to this, that's what you can expect out of somebody who's devoid of God. And I don't really care if they use his name or not. A lot of people are using his name in vain, but they absolutely, their actions show otherwise. Okay, so our guests back. That's very insightful, Karen, and I appreciate that. Our guests are backstage, so let's do a 30-second, real quickly, 30 seconds, and we're gonna move on to Jalise and let's see who I got on today. Josh Hernandez.
So on the weather modification front, might want to look into Project Storm Fury. That was what I was looking for. There were a bunch of experiments done there.
Okay, David.
Get some bleach. Prepare. Pretend that you were in that, excuse me, hurricane area. You know what you would need.
Karen.
I'm listening to the entirety of the show, and I just sent you another link that I shared again, a meme that I made. As John was saying, and I think all of us would agree, everybody needs to do something. We need to not just talk about doing something, but take some sort of action, even if it's just sharing information, because that's huge. That's one of the reasons why they fear us. I think you're also seeing evidence of the screaming bobcat, as I like to call it. It's a bobcat caught in a trap. Hillary Clinton's video recently, just the other day, is another example of that to me. She's saying, what was it? She's trying to project what she thinks they're going to come after her with, Pizzagate and so on. I think she's worried. They're very worried. And that means that they're going to start not just screaming and howling, but they're going to start clawing back. And so we should be ready to stand for what is right without fear, without hesitation, and do something to share the information, because that's what they fear, is an informed public. And be ready to take care of your families and your community.
There you go. That's where we're going to end right there. That's a perfect ending. I'm going to go to a quick break, and I'll be right back on with Josh and Jalise. Thank you, guys. I love you guys. Thanks for coming in when you had a point of failure there. So thank you so much for jumping back on. I love you guys.
Love you too.
All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.
We'll be right back with Jalise and Josh. Good morning and welcome to Brandenburg News Network, the third hour. It is October 1, 2024, and welcome to our show. And I'm going to bring my buddies on. Hey guys, how you doing?
We're good. How are you doing?
Good, really good. J6ers, political prisoners in America. And I'm really glad for you to be here. You know, something really struck me this week. Yeah, I had one of those days too where I had like a hair, and I kept going like trying to get rid of this guy right there. Right?
Exactly. It's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, clearly not enough hairspray, but I had this you know how you go into prayer and you talk to God and you want to do, it's just like you're seeking God, trying to find out, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Because it's a constant, honestly, it's a constant moving forward, but adjusting, it's like just a little bit of adjustment if you listen to God. And he really told me exactly, in a very tangible way, why this is so important that we're coming on with this segment. And I'm going to tell you what it is. The fact of the matter is that we're collecting testimony, and there's going to come a day where all this testimony, because it's live broadcast, is being collected without coercion or anything else like that. We're just talking to people that can be used as evidence and testimony to defend the people that have been so horrifically abused and had their rights violated. And like I always say, we fight for President Trump, the greatest president in the history of the United States, the rightful president of the United States, because he's one of us. He's an American, and he had his rights violated. I don't care whether you like him or not. It doesn't matter to me. We don't win at all costs. We win because we're a country of laws. And once that's gone, we got nothing. And with all of our J6er family, because you're family, we're an American family here, and their rights were violated. And we have an obligation to stand together and help be their voices, because their voices have been silenced, and stand with them, realizing that we have to fight for each other. And I think that that's the most important thing that we're doing here. So we're going to continue on with this, and hopefully everybody won't be afraid, and they'll come forward and they're going to talk. And the only reason why this is working is because we're listening to them. We've got the right, just like with the masks. Why are we listening to these people telling us what to do? We've got the law on our side.
Well, we got so much more on our side. I had someone say something so profound to me. I was at church. We were talking about, my case, and he was blown away to find out I was a felon, and so we were talking about that. And he said, well, how are you holding up? And I said, oh, it's beyond holding up. I'm doing fantastic. And I said, I'm going to tell you, I found the secret accidentally. And that is that I proclaim the name of Jesus Christ, and it goes before me. And I said, it creates a bubble. And he goes, no, baby, it don't create a bubble. He said, it's your shield of faith. And when you proclaim it, it builds that shield to where they can't get to you. And I thought, wow, that's exactly right. Sometimes we overthink it so much, but when you verbalize it, you are building it. And the problem is that so many have hidden in fear, and the enemy works in darkness. So when you keep it in the darkness, then he continues to do his work. It's when you bring the light to it and expose it that all of a sudden they're like cockroaches and they're scampering. And I can't proclaim that enough. And it really is a faith walk. So I can say it all I want, but until they decide I'm not going to walk in fear, until they decide that, you know what, I don't have a single thing to lose at this point. Until they take that bold step of saying, no, I'm not going down silent. You can do whatever you need to do. I hope you can put your head on your pillow, but just know my daddy will rectify this. He will square it up. And so that's what, as a J6er with American Patriot Relief, that's what I do. That's what I talk about all the time. That's what I proclaim. I will never stop proclaiming it, because I found that to be peace. If I would have walked, here's the thing I need to share. If I would have shut down and went into silence on April 21st of 2021, they would have had me imprisoned now for over 3.5 years. But I have walked as a victor in boldness, in total freedom, with peace, with joy, all because I stayed vocal about it and did not let them have control of my life. Now, there might come a point that they come and rob my freedom. They're trying to now. I'm on home confinement. But I can tell you, I have not been held hostage for 1 minute. I've lived in freedom. Everything they try to do fails. It will continue to fail. And that's what our J6 community has to know, is no man's going to come save you. You are the man. You're the man you're waiting on to save you. With Christ in you. We can't do it by ourselves, but in Christ all things are possible. And that's the atrocity of this, is that all of us, I'm reading a book right now called Sit, Stand, Walk. And it's that very thing of learning, or sit, walk, stand, of learning how to not only sit in the peace of Jesus Christ, but then learn how to walk by faith. And then even more boldly is when you're under attack, to stand firm. And that was even spoken to me in a dream. So it's very ironic that this then showed up at my house. Someone along the way gave it to me. So I love to hear the J6er stories. Mine is one of them. These are my brothers and sisters. Ace here is one of my favorites. He's got update on his story, so I wanted to bring him back on and let him share with the world where he's at, because he don't know this, but his story is what caused me to start coming on the show with you, Donna.
Oh, really?
Yes, because the government orders us that we're not allowed to go to DC. All on our pre-trial, all the way up until we're ordered to court. Okay. Josh, they did something unique here. And what they did with him is then they decided to order him that he can't leave DC after he got out of prison. And that the atrocity of that is they can't get housing, they can't get a job, they can't support themselves. It literally damns them to be homeless. And I was like, no, I'm not sitting silent on that. I've got to get the word out and do it in every way possible to try to bring awareness to this and get some help to this guy. So, Ace, welcome to the show.
Hello again.
Hey, nice to see you again. Thank you for coming on. And I think this is so important for people to know that this kind of crap is happening in the United States of America because people are asleep. They're stuck in their ideas of what they think America is. And it's not. This nation has turned into a completely communist nation that committing some of the worst crimes that have ever been committed by our own government, by the government that is in place, people in the government that is in place. Now, it's not the system that's totally bad. Well, it is because they bastardized it. But the way that the United States was set up was for all of us to be able to live in peace with each other, with limited government. And we had ways of resolving conflicts and such, to go talk to each other, which, oh, by the way, that's what the Bible says. Might want to go back to that, I guess. And, and it's like, and they've twisted it all around to be able to turn everything in a moneymaker, because they serve money. They don't serve God. They don't serve God at all. They serve money and themselves. They serve Satan himself and evil, pure evil. When you look at the amount of people and child trafficking, that there's no explanation for this kind of behavior, because normal people don't think this way. Psychopaths do. Psychopaths think this way. And, just coincidentally, narcissists, sexual predators, and psychopaths, they're all categorized together because it's the same mindset, though they carry it out in different ways. And so, we need to really remember we're dealing with people that are pure evil, that are psychopaths. They don't care. You're not going to convince them to change their minds. A rapist, they're going to go out and they're going to do it again because they're not sorry. They're just sorry they got caught. And if somebody that rapes a 6-month-old, you think they're going to be sorry? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it. No, they're lying to you. They're going to do it again. There's something wrong. And I mean, fundamentally wrong, that the amount of therapy or understanding or showing them love, they got to change, and Jesus can change them. I believe that God can change them. But until this nation turns back to God, that option really isn't being exercised much. So first of all, the nation needs to be turned back to God Almighty. That's the first thing to fix this thing. And then the second,
absolutely right. It's been a lack of belief that has got us where we're at today. I mean, originally it's a lack of belief in God, but now, I think about from the moment COVID hit, I screamed from the rooftops to everybody in my path, they're trying to take over our country. I knew they were going to use it for that. I started screaming it from the get-go. It wasn't by me. It was a gifting of the Holy Spirit, but I knew. And everyone thought I was a kook. And then I said I had to go to DC because the minute the election was stolen, that confirmed it to me. That was a coup. And yet everyone thought I was a kook. And then I told them I'm innocent. J6 was a setup, and they thought I was a kook. And now they're starving out people on the east side of our country with a hurricane.
That's going to be the whole country. That is going to end there.
It's going to be the whole country, but they're trying to absolutely annihilate them first. the whole east side of the country with a hurricane and then shut down the Port Authority so we can't get food to them. And I'm the kook for believing in that drama. Well, guess what? Welcome to the real world. This is what we're in now. You no longer have a United States. And go ahead and keep thinking I'm a kook on November 3rd and see where November 5th and see where it lands you. We have given all the warning we can give at this point. Now you're either going to choose to say, okay, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever to me, but my eyes don't lie. I'm going to have to take a leap of faith and do what I need to do and vote for someone I don't like, vote for President Trump. Listen, you're not trying to pick a husband here. You're trying to pick a president that will stand up for truth. That's what you're trying to pick.
Yeah.
I'm amazed by people that's like, well, he's a womanizer. He's this. I don't care. Why do you care? Are you sleeping with him? I don't know why it's a big deal.
Yeah, if you're looking for Jesus Christ to be running the country and you look around and see the type of people we have, I think you're going to be kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if we have the person that's going to go in there and try to seek God's will on everything they do, that's the best thing that we can hope for, is somebody who tries to seek the will of the Lord before anything. And realize they're going to make mistakes. But guess what? Guess whose job it is to hold them accountable? That's us. And until we learn how to do that process, we're screwed. No matter who we get in there thinking that we're going to approach this like Pollyanna and think we're going to get the perfect person in there and we can go play in the fields with flowers and butterflies. And we don't have to do anything because, you know, we're just going to go back to being a child again. You know, no. It's time for us to step up as adults and do what we need to do as Americans. You take your finger off the pulse and it goes right down the tubes again. I'm going to take a quick break here and let you guys continue on. I'll be listening to what you're talking about. And it's nice to see you. And I look forward to the update here. So I'll be back I'll see if I come back in a little bit. Okay.
Good deal. Thanks. All
Well,
right. Ace, welcome to the show.
good.
Sorry for the
Thank you
long intro.
Oh, you're fine. And I just want to touch back on that. It goes back to the second paragraph of the Independence, is we hold these truths to be self-evident, and it continues on that we are endowed by a Creator. Among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And right below that, it says that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter, to abolish it, and to institute a new government. And we've been so conformed to the benefits of the first world country that we became, and it's hard to understand the mindset of. I was watching that interview with Charlie Kirk of him versus the 21 liberals, or I forgot the number, but it was something like that. And then there was on Jubilee, they had a different one where it was reversed. It was a Harris supporter versus 20 conservatives, and how there are certain people who believe that they know the details, but they're just spewing just talking points, and they believe it's so hard. Where he brought up the issue at the border. He goes, well, there is no issue. He goes, are you not for immigration? I'm like, well, you can say that, but what's actually coming across is all these people that are not beneficial to the U.S. And the way he kept twisting it and wording it, he goes, well, you're wrong because of this, and you're wrong because of that. And it's like, okay, we might be wrong on 20, 30% of the entirety of the situation, or the viewpoint might be incorrect to you. But the bottom line is we still have people who have died to the hand of illegal immigrants who shouldn't be here. So how can you justify that? And it's
so much more. So just so you know, in the Christian world, at some point we've all struggled with this border issue because we're all human and we love one another and we're called to help one another and build each other up. So, and most people, before this open border business, most people were seeking a safe place to raise their family, okay? An opportunity for hope and a future, right? Which is very biblical. And so who were we as Christians to deem that, well, because I'm American, I get to have that freedom, but because you're from Mexico, you can't. And so we all struggled with that. I was one of them that I struggled. And Lord, where's the right and wrong ground? Well, the right and wrong ground, first off, is to recognize that this isn't Hispanics coming over the border. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very, very minute minority. Second off, you need to go to that border like people that live in my home with me that worked the border to watch them raping girls across the river strapped to a rape tree that are, 6 years old, being gang raped. To recognize that there is something very sinister here. This isn't a poor widowed Hispanic woman with 15 kids trying to get over the border for a better life for their kids. That ain't what's happening, okay? This is a sex trafficking ring. The other thing that people need to be aware of and really look at is they're bringing over military-aged men from everywhere in the country through that border crossing. And they have created terrorist cells right here in America that you're going to see places getting bombed, burned, blown up right before this election, try to keep you out of the polls. So
I seen that they posted that that there was an update after the second attempted assassination on Trump, that they're saying, hey, we have 2 assassin teams and other things that came from the open border. But yet there's no media
with ground
outlet
air
covering
missiles, mind you, I mean, this is something sinister. So people got to realize, Christians got to realize there's a right and wrong way to do things. And you should know that by now in your walk, that there's a right and wrong way to do things. And to just open the border and make it a free for all in our country. Number one, the economy can't sustain that fast of growth. Number two, it's things like in Ohio where cats are getting eaten. Laugh if you may, but I'm watching video after video. I hope you're on social media to see what's happening. And the reason that's a big deal is they don't know our laws and our rules. If a Hispanic person come over in this country legally, I had a very close friend that was illegal, okay? She was working with me. She got a visa by marriage. I don't know how that works out, but what I do know is how hard it was for her to become an American citizen. It was off the rails difficult. And it really made me mad at the United States, because I'm thinking that is a joke. They were making her know things I, as an American, didn't even know. Okay. But now that I'm on a further trail down that, I realize, because you need to learn our customs. You need to learn what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. You need to know our Constitution, because that's why we've got ourselves in this mess. A Constitution is useless. It don't have any teeth if man isn't willing to stand up and fight for it. Okay, that's where we're at. Not only did we not know the Constitution and realize when our rights were being violated, but then we weren't willing to stand up for it when they were violated. And so what I'm saying is there's a process for coming into our country, and it's to keep us safe, our children safe, keep our economy stable, and to make an opportunity for the rest of the world to have a better life in America. That's what it's about. But you can't just open the border and flood them in, or now our America is a third world country, and that's where we're at.
It's like, I don't want to say majority, because I really don't want to think there's more out there than actual conservatives or people who understand the severity of about the consequences that have happened. But it feels like our Constitution now has been made into the common ground of it being whatever the sales pitch is.
Right.
It's like, oh, you did your own research? No, that's why would you do your research? Believe the guy who's trying to sell you a 2012 BMW for $500 a month for the next 17 years. Like, don't do your research. That's a great deal. Why would you want to go and do your research in CarMax or Equifax, whatever the Carfax platform is? And it's like, it's like the whole COVID thing. When you do your own research, people they see you as this crazy conspiracy theorist, and you're making things up or you're reading too much into it. But you do that same research on anything else, like on a car or whatever, they're like, oh yeah, that's fine. But when it comes to more pressing matters, it's, you're not smart enough to do your own research.
That's right.
You don't know what you're reading. So and I feel like we live with NPCs, these non-playable characters who are just like, you could show them videos. I was watching a video where this person, she was being confronted about why she doesn't like Trump, and she goes, well, he supports white supremacists. And he's like, well, I got like a compilation video of like 20 times of him saying he doesn't go for it and he's disavowing it. She was like, oh, no, I don't want to watch that. I got to go do something. He goes, well, that's the whole issue, is you're going to go on believing this. And because I'm doing my own research, you're not going to want to believe me, because it's not coming from the big media heads telling you. You'd rather believe the salesperson than someone who's telling you, hey, that's a little bit too much for that car.
You know, to me, one of the wisest things a so-called white person that believes in all this white supremacy could do is go to a Hispanic friend, go to a Black friend, and sit and talk to them. What do you know about Donald Trump and racism? Because the majority in my world, and maybe it's because I'm from the South, but the majority realize this guy's done more for these communities than any other president in my lifetime. I mean, he truly has. He does look at equality, and not equity, but equality, that we are all human, that we deserve all the same rights. And, you know, if he believes that, and you see him standing with the Black community in so many ways, Michael Jackson, everybody, all the way back, it didn't matter Black, white, or otherwise. And let's just also point out, you know, that he is not married to an American woman. So, you know, I mean, I guess she is American now, but, you know, things that really needs looked at for him, because I've heard that same thing. And how ironic that nobody wants to listen to the community that would have taken the hardest hit on his watch, you know, but they did. Their life
goes to prove, and it goes to prove the historical accuracy of what happened in America. I had a conversation with somebody, and it was just off of a video that I shared with him. It's somebody I know from my new line of employment. We have mutual friends, and he goes, oh, you know him and him? And yeah, he goes, oh, bro. And long story short, we just hit it off because he didn't know. He thought it was just some new guy. So we had this conversation on, told him about January 6th and this and that, and it's straight onto the topic of racism. And I said, well, from my understanding, the white people are the only friend of the Blacks. And he goes, why? He goes, it's crazy. They enslaved them. I was like, no, I mean, yeah, that happened. But who fought next to them to gain their independence? It wasn't the Mexicans. Mexico didn't come over here and try to fight for them. It wasn't China. It wasn't Saudi Arabia. It was the fellow Americans who were majority white who stood up with you guys or with them to fight back against slavery. But now it's like, I get it. I get the whole concept of the whole slavery idea. But I spoke with him on the real note. I'm like, would you have rather grown up in Africa or would you rather grown up in America? And he goes, ooh. He goes, yeah. He goes, well, it depends on it. No, not depends. Okay, let's say it depends. Would you rather grow up in Florida or would you rather grow up in California? Either way you look at it, anywhere in America is better than majority of any country.
That's right.
So I was like, you have to understand the bigger picture of it. And we had a very long conversation. Then even a customer jumped in on it, and it was pretty funny. She was all pro-Trump. She wasn't a Trump supporter at first. And she goes, I just would open my eyes that she was an older Black woman. And I'm in Memphis. So Memphis is majority Black. And she was all like, I can't believe that she played the race card on us and all these fools are falling for it. And I was like, oh, wow, even you see it too. Like, that's crazy. She goes, I don't keep up with the news. I don't like it. She goes, all I know is she put people in prison for weed, and now she's trying to run for president. She goes, nah. She goes, I smoke weed. I ain't trying to go to jail. And I was like, oh, that's hilarious. So, I mean, you run into characters here. So it's fun.
All such a heartbreak because, you know, there comes a time when I was raising my kids, there were times that there was no obvious visual answer to fix the situation. Okay. And I had to truly close my eyes, get in a quiet place, and just seek in my heart what feels right. And I feel like our nation has gotten away from that because you can feel the evil. It's so prevalent. And I don't care what's being spoken into your ear or what you're seeing with your eyes. When you close your eyes and just, what do you need me to do? Okay, I'm going to do it, period, end of story. I'm going to vote this way, period, end of story, Lord. Just show me what you want. I had a time when I first come to Christ that I had to do that. I share it often. I was a pro-choice woman.
Mm-hmm.
And when I come to Christ, literally overnight, the election was, that was in August of that year. And the election was like a year later in November. And the Lord called, I planned on voting for Clinton. And the Lord called me, no, I want you to vote for Bush. You think the Lord don't care about this stuff, but he does. He does, because he puts those leaders in place. Mm-hmm. And before you go off on me as a J6er, then I should have followed my leader. No, because my leader is the Constitution. That's my leader. They're called to uphold the Constitution. I'm not subservient to them. I'm subservient to the Lord and the Constitution. So let me just get that straight for you. But anyway, I went ahead and voted for Bush simply over the abortion issue. And it went against everything I believed. And then my heart caught up along the way. Sometimes you have to take a leap of faith of in your deepest heart what you know what's right. You can look with your eyes and see this nation getting destroyed. You can have paid attention or go back on YouTube and see that over the past 4 years is when it got destroyed. That there was a fight to save it before that. Mm-hmm. But people don't want to look at that. And it's heartbreaking because I am very firm in telling people we will lose our country on November 5th. Choose wisely.
Yeah. It's I don't like being the downer, but I felt like, I mean, will we lose our rights in the Constitution and the idea more on November 5th if Kamala Harris becomes elected? I believe so. But I believe that there has been a successful job by whatever entity you want to call it on how they have morally destroyed the youth and I guess my age range and a little bit older in these past few decades on how, like, I go through Twitter or X and it's like there can't be this much degeneracy among men. It's just
right. This is a war of good and evil. And what happened is this is a spiritual war. People, oh my gosh, within the J6 community, there's so many that just feel like we need to rise up in arms and take our country back. And I'm like, right now, that is the worst thing on earth you could do. This is a spiritual war. You need to get on your knees. You need to walk by faith, because it's the spiritual war of good and evil. And we're spiritual beings. We have eternal life. Every single person, every single breathing individual and dead individual has eternal life. The decision is, are you going to spend it in heaven or hell? But it's eternal. It's forever. Mm-hmm. And that is our spirit. So what I'm getting at in that argument and what I'm trying to say is that this is a spiritual battle. So wherever you were leaning, you're now overcome by. That's why my faith is so high that I can proclaim it on every public platform, no matter what the topic is. It seems I bring Christ into it because I was already there. And so now it's heightened. Anybody that was already working within the demonic, whether they realized it or not, you either choose Christ or you automatically default to the other. Mm-hmm. And so now they're working savagely. Well, when you read the word of God, you know what the enemy is and who he is and what he does. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He's the author of lies. He's the father of lies. He is the great deceiver. So people have been deceived. They've been confused by their identity. He's the author of confusion. And so now they don't know what sex they are. They don't know where to stand firm. And what's so sad is in the very core of all of that, Ace, I believe their heart is good of wanting to include everybody. The
Mhm.
scripture says there's a way to man that seems right, but in the end it leads to death.
Mhm.
They think they're being inclusive and loving and accepting everyone where they're at. And you can be a cat, and I'm going to meow to you to talk to you. And I really think at the very core, they don't think it's sinister. They think they're being good people. But that's
Except
what
when it comes to conservatives. As soon as you say I'm conservative, you're not. No, you're.
yeah, everyone except a conservative, right? Because you're exclusive. And we are. We are exclusive because we believe in a moral absolute. We believe in one truth of God. We don't believe in my truth, your truth, his truth, their truth, kind of truth, a little truth. We don't believe in none of that. There's one, period, end of story. I am the way, the truth, the life. No man comes to the Father except through me. That's exclusive, and that offends people. And I get it, because in their heart, they want to be nice. They want to be kind. They want to include everybody. They don't want to hurt anybody. It leads to death. And they don't know that that's the overtake of the enemy to use what looks like something good as evil.
Yeah, and I feel like they think that we're better than them because we're Christians, and it's the complete opposite.
No,
I
yeah.
am.
We're more
I'm
jacked up
horrible.
and realize we can't do it alone.
I'm horrible. Like, all the sins that I have to go through on Judgment Day is gonna be at least a quarter of the entire judgment process.
But you know what? I disagree. I disagree because, I look at it with my kids, okay? They're typical kids. They were rebellious. They did crap wrong, right? But I still loved them. And so what we got to do is we got to acknowledge our relationship with the Father, that we're held to account to him. We got to come into like-mindedness. That's all Christianity is I come into agreement with God that he's right and I'm wrong. That's what it is. And then you let him transform you in your thoughts where you bought lies, but now you realize they were lies.
Yeah.
That is all Christianity is. And the minute you do that, I call it Jesus-colored glasses. Back in my day, there was a song called Rose-Colored Glasses. Now you've got these, God puts on these Jesus-colored glasses, and when he sees you, he sees nothing but Christ. He don't see all your jack-ups and screw-ups because he went to the cross for that. For every past sin, future sin, present sin, he went to the cross for it. So he's not going to see all that. You see it. And ironically, it's the enemy that condemns you. So when you're feeling that condemnation, that's not coming from the Lord. That's coming from the enemy. The Lord is saying, oh, no, child, you are beautiful. You're precious. You're wonderfully made. You're my homie. You're my bro. I love you. You're the bomb diggity. I'm keeping you forever. We're going to be buds. That's what he's saying. But the enemy's over here going, you suck. You deserve to die. You shouldn't even be sucking air. That's just it. And people don't understand that. So, and the problem is that the dark doesn't understand the light. So what happens is when a Christian tries to bring truth to somebody that's not in Christ, they think they're condemning them, but they're not. We're saying, no, I know exactly what's going on because I was right there with you. I was the same way. And so anyway, when we go at it from that direction, they're seeing condemnation, and all it is their spirit's getting convicted on what's true. But they blame the messenger instead of blaming an enemy that is trying to condemn them. And
yeah,
so
and it's
like
crazy.
Around.
This is, how do I say, this is like the greatest battle. Retrospect, once we get out of this, and we're gonna see if this is gonna be possible, but once we see the victory, once Christ comes, and hopefully, like it says, every knee will bow. People will be like, wow, I did not notice how, like, some of these people who just aren't aware of the spiritual battle that we're in, it's going to be like, well, that was like the greatest victory ever told, because of everything that we have no idea how the demons and the dark principalities work behind the scenes, and how they control or manipulate us every day. And that we're still saved. It's just one of the, like, it's literally the definition of God's capabilities of what he can do. And there was a time where I used to laugh at some of these libtards. I would see some of their videos and I would be like, oh, these dudes are retarded. But now when I look at them, I was watching the video and there was this woman, I'm gonna call her because that's what she is. She had the breast augmentation where they remove it and she classified as a man.
Mastectomy or whatever.
Yeah.
They cut them off?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the dude asked her, he's all like, what is a woman? And she goes, oh, I'm sorry, you're very confused. And it's like, I want to laugh, but it's like, do you not know that you're the one that's confused?
Yeah.
Like, I feel bad for them. And it's like, maybe bad guidance or maybe whatever the case it is, or maybe at just the end of the day, she had good guidance, but the evil entity won on that battle, whatever the case may be. But it's like, they're just so damaged. And it's like, you guys, like, I would love for you guys just to come to Christ and then just to become not normal, but to become happy, because they're going to the extreme of self-harm.
That's right.
It's like a new age cutting wrist.
They are hating themselves. And if you saw someone slit their wrist or down a bottle of pain pills or put a gun to their head, you'd run to their rescue. Mm-hmm. You would be telling them, no, don't do it, brother. I love you. You got a life ahead of you. You got a future. And yet you'll watch them mutilate themselves and cut their body to pieces out of self-loathing.
And share it to get attention.
Yeah.
And people are not seeing the harm.
And, you know, and that's, I think, you know, there's two sides that the Christian community is failing there. The first side is that you're willing to play their game with them instead of try to save them. And what I mean by try to save them, only Christ can save, but you can be a breath of fresh air to them, of loving them and speaking truth into them without rejection, without the belittling, you know, that, and I realize your chances are very slim, but you have a moral obligation to attempt. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that will save them is having truth spoken into them. The suicide rate of a trans individual is over 80%. People don't know that, and they should know it. That it's really isn't a laughing matter. I see it, and it looks outrageous. And I admit, part of me wants to be angry, but you got to look past what your eyes are seeing. There's a demonic presence that is attacking them and destroying them. And they're stuck in this fleshly body that they hate. That is painful. We've all been at some point in our life, especially as J6ers, where we're like, do we want to continue on? And I keep looking at them through those eyes, remembering, you know, the desperation of feeling like I'm never going to get out of this. Mm-hmm. My life is forever destroyed. And the emptiness that brought, you know, it was Christ that breathed life back into me and filled me back up. I don't know anything else that could have done it.
Yeah. So no, I agree with you 100%. I had that happen the other day. I was so I'm back with my family. So
yay!
It's so awesome. I miss so much time.
Tell us about your family real brief. I don't want you to make a target out of them, but just tell us about your family a little bit.
So I reunited back with my little bro Liam and my daughter JC. She's my favorite daughter. He's my favorite son at the moment. And how
old are they?
He actually just turned 3 the 29th.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'll share with you a picture. I got him I couldn't wait. I just got home from work and he was asleep and I was like, I'm waking him up. I had the candle lit. I had like 100 candles on there. And so I had a number 3 on there, but I just decorated with a bunch of candles. And
so one question now, you said 3 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how long were you in prison?
What was it? 18 months.
So you went in when she was 6 months old?
Mm-hmm.
So
she was 6
and know your daughter.
Oh yeah, she's attached to me already. Like she's already no, it's fun. We got to get like another king size bed. We have enough room to it, but like I keep thinking that they're small when like I first went in, and when they first went in, we can all fit under the king's bed and have space. Now my son's everywhere and she's everywhere too. So it's like, all right, we're gonna get another bed. So in the meantime, I got this this couch that's like really wide, and then it has like the foot and everything. So it's enough for me and my son, or me and my daughter will crash out in the living room. But yeah, no, there's times now where, because before, my daughter, when we would have the other J6 supporters that will come by the house and bring, because they do organic goat milk, no more processed milk. She would run, go hide behind the couch, or whatever the case would be with anybody, woman or dude, which is adorable. But now it's like she'd rather come lay down with me. If I'm watching TV, she'll knock out with me, or like she'll throw a fit that she doesn't want to go with mom. She'll come and lay with me, and I was like, oh, this is I miss this. I miss so much of all this.
So you're able to be protector again. You know, it's hard for men to understand the degree, and even women now that aren't willing to understand the degree that we need to feel a sense of security. And I'm not saying it can only be fulfilled by men, but it is definitely a very big role, and it starts with our daddies, and then it ends with our husbands. And we need to feel that sense of financial security, of physical security, of everything, because we are a weaker vessel. I know that makes all the women mad. I don't care. Go check out the muscle structures. Go Google how many blood vessels a man has versus a woman. There's a reason they're warmer than we are.
Yeah, it was. We were when I was having this discussion with her, and I forgot what I was doing, and I just hugged her, and I broke down in tears. Like I was just crying, bawling my eyes out, not loud, just the tears. And I was squeezing her and hugging her, and she goes, "What's going on?" I was like, "I don't know how to explain this, but I thought Liam was always going to be my favorite child. I have favorites. It is what it is. But like, he was my firstborn, and you know, it was awesome. But I was like, it was just the way she like comes in, like just, I'm like, I don't know what it is. I have no idea, but I feel like a stronger, more like sensible towards her. Like I feel like I have to protect her a lot more. I feel like I have to baby her more. And with my son, I'm a lot more tougher. Like I can tickle him harder. I can throw him on the couch, and with her, I'll like
feel like you're gonna break her.
I'll gently like throw her on the couch where I'm still holding her, or like I'm just, you know, whatever the case is, and like doing her hair. Because she has very curly hair. So, you know, we do as pastime, doing different hair things when I can with her. And she's all like, "Why are you crying?" I was like, I have no idea, but I felt like just there's a different love for a daughter than there is for a son. And I never thought that. Like, yeah, there's, you know, different
kids are kids,
whatever.
right?
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know. It's just there's a different love for a daughter than you have for your son.
That's so beautiful.
And then she was like, "I don't understand." She goes, "I love both my kids the same." I'm like, yeah, I get it. I do too. But it's like, it's just, I don't know. And that's why I want like 10 more kids. But but it's been amazing. We just been doing a lot of stuff together. I bought them a little pool. You know, they're kids. So it's just been one long experience that I had missed out on for a long time, and it has just been beautiful these past few weeks. It's just,
so you're out of DC, you're back to a home, you're rebuilding your life. I heard you mention you have a job, and you're rebuilding your relationship with your wife and your children, and things are starting to level off. So you are still on probation, is that correct?
Until Donald Trump gets back in office, or 2 years and 9 months.
So I love that you said that. You know, for everyone out there listening, for people that you hear that say it's not worth voting, they're stealing the election, I feel your pain. You're right. They're stealing the election. But we've got 1,503 J6ers that their lives literally could be lost. I'm talking a physical death. We've got people that every realm of their life has been annihilated. that will continue on for the rest of eternity if you don't go vote. I'm asking you so that we can have more stories like this of daddies going back home, of grandparents being in their grandchildren's lives. Go vote for our sake. All of us, they nailed us with felonies. We can't vote. They knocked out 1,500 people's votes.
I can't even work for DoorDash. I can't deliver food to your house because of this. It's crazy.
Exactly. So please go vote, because Trump is our only hope for turning this around. He has promised to pardon the J6ers, and that's the only hope we have. There has been nobody else suggest any relief for us. So if for no other reason, go vote for humanity. You claim that you're all about humanity and equality and all this stuff. Go vote for the J6ers to get their life back.
Yeah, it's and I don't want to for the audience. I can't speak for all of us. I know some people were like, "Oh, I wish I didn't go," or this and that. And I had that moment where it's like, when I found out I couldn't deliver fast food, I was like, "You got to be joking! What do you mean I can't?" So I was like, "All right, was this?" And then I paused myself. I was like, "Yes, it was worth it because it's much bigger than just little old me. There's more than just me trying to. If I can't deliver food, fine, I'll figure something out. I'll go clean parking lots if I have to. But all the kids at the border that going through what they're going through, there's a domino effect of a bunch of things that we as Americans could have prevented. And maybe we couldn't. Maybe the deep state or whatever entity it is, whatever conglomerate of evildoers, maybe they would have stole the election again, or whatever the case is. We have to remember, we have to figure out what is it that we can do to hold the government officials accountable. And not just with this election, because this is his last go around of his term to be president. What are we doing? Who are we vetting? Who are we already understanding to look at who's going to be the successor from that? Are we going to put somebody else in office who's just going to go back on all these policies again and redo what the exact same thing that Biden did, undo his policies and cause this issue to happen again? So we have to be aware that yes, Trump at this moment is our go-to guy at the moment, but it doesn't just fall solely on Trump to fix this issue.
That's right.
We fix this issue.
Every single individual is accountable for their actions, and that alone should get 100% turnout on voting. You are responsible for you. So when you choose to not vote for whatever stupid lie you bought in your head to claim you're not going to go vote, you are the one that will be held account to that. I cannot imagine watching our country be taken over after I chose not to vote and look at my grandchildren and realize I sat on my hands. At least when you vote, you know, and I'm talking an educated voter. Y'all stop this crap of whoever's cutest, go vote for them. But to actually be an educated voter and go vote, and then whatever happens beyond that, it is off of you. Mm-hmm. At least somewhat, it is off of you. But that is the bare minimum. I can't even imagine trying to look my kids in the eye not voting.
Yeah, and it's hard because it's like, okay, yeah, I love my kids, but I'm just gonna not care about the future. Like, well, I'm gonna leave you guys with whatever money is in the account. Do what you want with it. And that's it. Like, no, we have to understand that we have a lineage that is gonna follow us, and we have to do everything now for our grandkids. Grandkids we would never meet.
Don't you find it a little?
But we have to make sure that we do everything we can and to have conversations like, hey, when I meet, there was a dude back in DC. He was, I used to meet when I go to the cigar lounge to do some work. He actually worked in the DOJ. And he was telling me, "Oh, I'm gonna look you up." I'm like, okay, whatever, I don't care. He kind of said that as like to, I guess, a show of power, whatever the case may be. I have no idea. But I was like, so why are you voting for Harris? He goes, whoa, he goes, can you believe it? He's going to deport people like you. I'm all like, deport me? Bro, back to Houston? Like, where am I going to go? And then he goes, no, bro, they're going to deport you back to Mexico. I'm all like, okay, well, I'm not from Mexico. I don't know why I would go, but if that's the case, then if I have to come back the legal way, then so be it. Like, but he's all like, oh, that doesn't cause you any issues. And I'm like, look, well, okay, yeah, it might cause me an issue, but I have to look at the bigger picture. Why is this going to be implemented in the first place? It's because he has to root out, all the people aren't supposed to be here, whatever the case may be. And I'm like, that's the difference between me and you. You want the government to fix your issues. I'm trying to see what can I do to fix my own issues while I'm here. And then we kept going on, and he would tell me, well, yeah, Kamala's better and this and that. I'm like, you're not telling me anything. That you're just saying talking points.
Right.
Like, why don't you like Trump? And I'm like, give me a reason that you haven't heard on TV. Like, okay, he's whatever, racist. Like, take all that out. Why don't you like Trump? Would you rather let Kamala run your business, or would you rather let Trump run your business? And then he goes, well, Trump's a fraudster. I'm like, that's not what I said. Why? You can't give me a solid reason on anything. You revert back to these talking points. You don't have an original thought that you on your own can come tell me. Everything out your mouth is straight from CNN talking points.
Right.
I'm like, do you not see how that affects you, bro? Like that's like you're scrolling on TikTok all day, and now you can't watch anything longer than a minute long because you get bored.
That's right.
So like there's a part of that is hurting you. And I'm trying to have you understand that. And maybe I might not change your political stance, but I want to at least try to communicate with you and be like, bro, there's deeper research that you have to do. That's right. Understand that you can't just sit there, drink your coffee, smoke your cigar, and believe everything that's on TV. So it was a failed thing, but after a few encounters, he became more of a friend and less of somebody who just didn't like me off the rip.
Right.
Because you can tell. Because I was real cool with the owner.
You're showing respect, and you're letting them try to keep some of their dignity, but trying to raise them up a notch. And you're right. Most of the time it fails, but you never know where it's going to go after you leave it. The Lord doesn't call us to be someone's savior. We're just called to be a stepping stone in their life. And, my dad raised me, leave everybody and everything better than you found it. Mm-hmm. And I think if we all live by that motto, then every single relationship that we leave, we try not to leave on a negative note. It don't mean you're going to be everyone's buddy, but it means that you brought truth to the table that they could chew on, that in their private time may raise them up a notch, So I like that you do that. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the public today? I do have one thing to say. Mm-hmm. Two of our APR, American Patriot Relief volunteers, brought your wife and children to you until you get back home. And I thought that was such a beautiful thing because that was unprovoked by American Patriot Relief. It was just two of the volunteers that's like, I'm all about a family being reunited and want to be a part of it. So y'all need to come volunteer and let us know you want to be involved, and we'll tell you how to do that. Go to AmericanPatriotRelief.org.
Yeah, go and sign up to be a volunteer because all they did was take their time out. Now it was a big volunteer project that they did for us, but it was amazing. I am eternally grateful for them driving them out, my family, because the probation office denied my request to go visit my family for like the 100th time. Even told them I was getting married. I want to get married, yada, yada, yada. They were like, no, it's whatever. So they drove them 17 or 18 hours to come reunite my family. And there's nothing that I can do to ever pay them back.
It ain't even about that. They are fully paid back. They come back just lit up, just, you gave them the gift of an opportunity to make someone else's life better. And we forget that the giver gets blessed in that as much as the receiver. And they come back and they get to just wear that on their heart and bask in it. And so anyway, those are great opportunities that, you know, people ask me all the time, how can I help? What can I do? I don't know. All I do know is if you're sitting in the ballast, staying involved with American Patriot Relief, you're going to see these opportunities come up, and the Lord is just going to prick your heart, and you're going to know that's my deed. I'm doing that. You know, if it never comes to mind, it wasn't meant for you to do. But if it comes to mind, you're going to come back from that like, oh my gosh, I got something I can do. So that was
And it was
just
very awesome because my wife was having a very tough time because I can handle the no's, I can handle, you know, the issues, the stress, but she can't, you know. So it's not that we were going to separate. It's not that, it's just that she was also tired of hearing the no's and the no's and the no's. And she goes, I don't understand. She was breaking down. So what they did was spiritual supportive, emotionally supportive. There's more. I can't even explain to words on what they solved for my wife. The stress she was going through, just being so close, and yet we still can't even. So it was an amazing thing. It was awesome. It's one of the second, third greatest days of my life. Well, part one for meeting her. So it was awesome. But I really do thank them so much. I owe them so much. So yeah, you guys that want to help and volunteer, whatever the case is, we have no idea how to help. Not everybody's issue is identical. But there's a behind the scenes that some of us don't share, that the stress we're going through. Some of us try to put a face on it and be like, we're doing good, but there's some battles that some of the J6ers are going through. And I don't know what help they need, but there's room that they can be helped with. We just have to just figure that out and let them, you know, open up. And if it comes to it to where someone can volunteer, I really hope that you guys can take that call, because it's not just about, you know, oh, donate to us. It's half the time it's not about that. It's just, you know, being reunited with family, or hey, you know, it's just, most of it is always just family, because some of us aren't with our family. Some of us are just going through trials and tribulations of like me. Sometimes I know people who have money when they get out of prison, but now they can't get a place to stay because they're a felon.
That's right.
So
It might be you got a friend of a friend that owns a house that they're willing to rent. Because you know, some people have money for rent. They don't have anyone willing to rent to them.
Or they get out of prison with no ID, no Social Security, like they did me, and you got to go through 2 months in order just to get it.
The DMV or exactly.
It would have took me 2 months to go through the process to get my Social Security card and then get my ID. If I didn't have a backup copy at the house, it would have literally took me 2 months. So by just having an extra copy, it saved me on so much waiting to get it. You know, I couldn't take Uber because I didn't have an ID. I couldn't apply for food stamps because I didn't have my Social Security card. I couldn't do nothing because I didn't have any of it. So I had got it overnight shipped and got it, and then boom, I was able to do it. But if I would have went through the process, so it's little stuff like that. Like, hey, do you need me to mail you something? Where's it at? I can go pick it up, mail it for you, whatever the case it may be.
That is a good thing to know, because, you know, people don't know unless the January 6th defendants are willing to come forward and say, hey, is there anybody out there that could help with this? You know, a lot of them's jobs, you know, they're willing to work. They just, you know, granted, you know, if they're 70 years old, they're probably not going to be able to do a manual labor job of digging ditches or anything like that. But it's providing work, saying, I got this open. I'm willing to hire a January 6th defendant in this community. So thank you so much, Ace. We're going to close it up. If you would, I would love to go into prayer for a moment and pray for our J6ers.
Yes, ma'am. Of course.
Heavenly Father, we come before you so blessed by your presence. We're so grateful that we don't have to go into this alone, that you have been sovereign, that you were just, that you promised to turn all things for good for those who love you. And Father, we are leaning on that, knowing that that is exactly what's going to happen, that you're going to make beauty from ashes in the lives of every single January 6th defendant. Father, I thank you that we're living in such a time as this. I count it as a great honor that you have built me for such a day as this, that you have equipped me and called me, that you trusted me to trot in your footsteps. And I believe that for every single January 6th defendant, that you have built them for such a day as this, to stand firm for the safety of our nation, to be the 3%, to be the 1%, to be the micro percent of whatever it is, that we're willing to stand on truth on your name's sake and know that you will redeem this nation. Father, I pray that this nation turns its eyes and ears and heart back to you, that we bow before you, confessing our sin, repenting of our sin, and asking how may we serve you, Father. Lord, be with all the hurricane victims. This is an absolute atrocity. This is definitely inhumane and disgusting that our nation would turn its back on people in need. But we're a mighty people. We're a sacrificial people. We are a vibrant people. And I call on anybody that their heart has felt burdened, that they're not on home confinement, that they would decide to pull a trailer, not knowing what they're getting into, ask for donations and head that way, trusting that the Lord will clear a path and make a way for them to go help those in need. Father, we love you for all that you do. We love you for who you are. And we ask that you be with us and guide us. All these things we ask in your name. Amen. And that is a wrap. Ace, I thank you for coming on the show yet a second time and giving us your time to update us on yet a good story, a positive story, because we don't get a lot of those in the January 6th community. And we just pray for you that you're able to rise up and provide for your family in a mighty way, that the Lord does something so big with you that you did not even see coming. And even if it's in the smallest of ways, that you have the passion in your heart to take care of such a big responsibility with little means. And I know you're going to do a great job because I see your heart.
I just want to share the picture of my family. So this is what is crazy. This is what the people, not conservatives, but this is what they're afraid of. And I can't see why. They're just as scared of the nuclear family being together. And this is what they deem a threat. Just the family.
Beautiful American family. How is that a threat to society? And you gotta wonder, all because we protested at the Capitol, it's worth destroying so many lives, so many children, such beauty. Me and my husband have been married 34 years. What do we do so wrong? It's such a sad atrocity. So sad.
I think they're not just afraid of us. They're trying to.
What are your children going to think of our nation as they grow up?
Just like the Satanists do, they believe in hurting the newborns and stuff like that because it's a closer sin to disrespect the Almighty. I feel like that's what they're doing to the J6ers. They'd be like, well, we're not afraid of them. We're not afraid of just these normies who are protesting, but we're afraid of what they stand for and what's helping them behind the scenes. That's
right. They know that the God that is in us is greater than he who is in the world. That's right.
I'm glad they're afraid. No.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ace. You have a super week. I hope you stay in touch with us. Y'all go to American Patriot Relief and ask how you can get involved. We will invite you to our Monday Zoom call. That's a lot of fun in itself, just to get to put a face to names and build relationships. That if your life is feeling isolated and you're feeling fearful in this world that is in so much question and darkness right now, come on the call and get lifted up. That works both ways for everybody. So on that, y'all have a blessed day, and I will not see you tomorrow, but we will be on again Thursday. And we're going to have another Joshua on there. We're going to have Josh Black back on. And he was one of our definite legends on this show. Y'all will love it. So come on and get an update from Josh Black also. God bless.
Bye, guys.